A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Kroger Tender Ray Beef. No other beef so fresh can be so tender. Presents Hearts in Harmony, transcribed. K is for Kroger. C is for cut. B is for beef. KCB means Kroger cut beef. And Kroger cut beef means more meat for your money. Remember that fact, ladies. Remember that Kroger cut beef gives you more meat, less waste. And for this reason. Before the meat is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess bone, excess waste, and stringy ends. Yes, that's before the meat is weighed and priced. And listen, you get the top U.S. government grades of beef. Yes, sirree. It's tender, juicy, rich red, and marbled with just the right amount of flavory fat. So you get better value in top-grade beef. Let's take a Kroger cut chuck roast as an example. Before the roast is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess waste and stringy meat. You're bound to get a better value because you get more solid meat, only a minimum of bone. No matter which you prefer, steak or roast, you receive more meat, less waste in Kroger cut beef. But make that discovery for yourself. Visit your neighborhood Kroger store and get Kroger cut beef. It gives you more meat for your money. And now, Hearts in Harmony. Penny Gibbs has promised Mrs. Carlton that she'll do what she can to help young Barry Carlton. Penny thought she might have trouble keeping her promise, but Barry himself made it easy by asking a surprised Penny Gibbs for a date. It's now 11 in the evening, and Barry is driving her home.
Penny, do I really have to drive you home so early?
I'm afraid you do, Barry. I'm sorry, but I have to get up awfully early in the morning.
Oh, why?
Because I have to, that's why. I have work to do.
But why in the morning? Mornings are for sleep. Afternoons for rest, and nights for having a good time.
Well, maybe yours are, Barry, but if I didn't start work in the morning, and pretty early at that, I'd never get anything done.
Now, just what do you have to get done?
Well, let me see now. I had to take care of the house.
I thought that was Nora's job.
No, the baby's Nora's responsibility.
Oh.
Nora does some of the housework, but the house is much too big for one person to take care of.
Well, then why don't you hire some help for Nora?
Well, I would if I could, but that'd be too expensive.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I forget sometimes that others don't have all the money they need.
Well, I really wasn't complaining about it, Barry.
You wouldn't. You wouldn't complain about anything. That's one of the things I like about you. You don't mind if I like you, do you?
No, but I wish you wouldn't take your eyes off the road to tell me that.
Oh, no, this car of mine can practically steer itself. Look.
No, Barry, don't take your hands off the steering wheel. Please don't.
Now, you don't mean you prefer the old-fashioned way of driving a car.
Well, I believe in driving a car the way it should be driven. Now, don't let go of the steering wheel again.
Did I really frighten you? I'm sorry.
It's a good thing we didn't hit a bump in the road or a rock or something. I'd be much sorrier about it.
You're going to have me feeling like a heel if you keep that up.
Well, you just shouldn't take chances like that. Hope you don't do it often.
Oh, yes, whenever I feel like it.
Look, aren't you ever going to grow up?
I hope not.
You should hope so.
Why? Why should I grow up when it's much more fun to be a kid?
But you're not a kid, Barry. You're 30 years old.
31.
Yeah, well, all right, 31. That's all the more reason that you should want to grow up and settle down. Decide what you want to do.
Oh, I've already decided what to do. I'm going to remain a kid all my life.
It's not very smart to remain a kid all of your life.
It's being a genius, if I can do it.
Now, will you listen to me? I'm being serious, and you're not.
So am I. I'm serious. I know just what's going to happen to me before long. It'll go like this. 5, 10, maybe 15 years from now, I'll begin to slow up, to think, and to take stock of myself. And I'll decide that it's time that I did something with myself. Then I'll do what all men do when they come to their senses.
And just what's that?
Well, I'll become a solid citizen. Or a family man. or a businessman, or something equally dull and ordinary. But I'll wait till that time comes.
Well, of course, that's the way you want to live your life. It's certainly all right with me.
What? No objections?
But why should I object? You're over 21.
I know what you're going to say. I'm over 21.
Yes, you are old.
And I'm over 31 by several months.
Well, then you're certainly old enough to decide for yourself what to do with your life.
Yes, but what if I make the wrong decision?
Well, I just guess that's a chance we all take.
No, but doesn't it bother you? I mean, aren't you interested in seeing me make a right decision?
Of course I'm interested in seeing you make a right decision. I don't like to see anyone make a mistake.
Oh, I see. You feel about me the way you feel about just anyone, do you?
Oh, it's beside the point. The point is, Barry, that you do know the difference between right and wrong. At least you ought to. And if you want to wait 10 or 15 years to start making something of yourself, that's entirely up to you.
I see. In other words, I can just waste my time, waste my life altogether. You won't care.
I didn't say anything about that.
But you're not anxious to see me change my ways.
It's just that I don't think your ways are any of my business.
You could make them your business.
Barry, will you listen to me? You are not a child. You are a grown man. You're an adult person.
An adult who's never done a worthwhile thing or an hour's honest work in his life. Penny, would it mean anything to you if I got a job?
It would mean a lot to you. You'd be happy.
Yes, but would it make you happier?
Barry, don't go to work for my sake. Go to work for your own.
But you don't know me, Penny. There's a much better chance of my taking a job for the sake of someone else than for myself. Now tell me, would you like me to try working?
Why do you think I suggested that you go to work several days ago?
And would it, make you happier? Please, answer that, Penny.
Of course it would, Barry, because you'd be happier.
Well, you make getting a job sound almost interesting. What do I mean, almost? The word interesting should be unqualified. Unqualified when it comes to a job. That's a perfect description of me.
No, you can do lots of things.
Oh, what? What?
Well, you can do anything you want to do if you really want to do it.
Well, I don't really want to do it. But for you, I will.
No. Don't do it for me. Do it for you.
All right. We won't argue about why I'm doing it. I'll just do it and what's that idiot truck driver trying to do?
No, he's turning into the street in front of us.
Right, without even signaling. Hold on, Penny. You've got to slow down.
Golly. Oh, Barry. Oh, golly.
Well, that was close. We nearly plowed into the side of that truck.
Oh, you'd think he'd have waited till we passed the intersection anyway.
Yeah. I think he'd have seen us, too, but he didn't.
Seems kind of silly. I don't know why he didn't see us. Our headlights are on, aren't they?
Sure they're on.
Oh, good heavens, Barry, aren't they?
No, they're on all right. For a minute, I thought they weren't. I guess that truck driver must have been driving in his sleep.
It's a good thing you were awake.
Yeah.
We might have had a very unhappy end to an extremely pleasant evening.
Say, you had a good time tonight, did you?
Yes, I did, Barry. It was lovely.
Good. Well, it seems to me that would call for an encore. Or maybe we can make it a habit.
Oh, hardly a habit. I happen to be a fairly busy girl, but you might phone me sometime.
Oh, that sounds like far from a habit. Do I just call you just sometime, or can't you be a little more definite?
Must I be more definite?
I wish you would be.
Oh, it's not necessary, Barry. I'll be around. You call me.
Well, that sometime isn't much of a help.
Well, I think it's better to leave it sometime.
Look, can't we make it definite for, say, just one night, say tomorrow or the night after?
You better call me. I can't promise you anything, Barry.
All right. But I'm going to make a pest of myself until you say yes. I'm sure you can't be busy all the time.
No, I'm not busy all the time, but you'll be busy, and especially busy when you get that job.
I'll never let myself get too busy to see you, Penny. Maybe a man can waste his life loafing, but I think he can waste it working too much.
You just love peanuts, don't you?
Well, kind of shell I do, Nora. Guess I'm part squirrel or something.
Or part elephant, maybe.
Well, that's right. They go for peanuts, too, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. I'm getting peanut shells all over the living room rug, Nora.
Oh, that's all right.
Well, it means more work for you if I leave them there. But don't worry, I'll pick them up.
No, the rug needs a good vacuuming anyhow, Mr. Keith. Leave a few of the shell crumbs there, and then I'll just have to clean it.
You have to force yourself to work, too, huh?
Sometimes. Well, Cricket's housework isn't exactly fun. Most of the time, though, it's all right. Golly, you know, Miss Gibbs said she'd be home early, but it's after 11 already.
Oh, well, that's still early, Nora. Look, if you want to go on upstairs and go to bed, why, go ahead.
Oh, no. I think it's just super talking to you. But I don't want you to think that I told you Miss Gibbs would be home early just so you'd stay and talk to me.
Why, Nora, I would have stayed anyhow. I really like talking to you.
I don't talk too much, Mr. Key?
Oh, whoever told you did?
Well, nobody, but Daddy says young people always have a tendency to talk too much, especially when they're with grown-ups. Makes them feel grown up, too.
Oh? Well, you tell your father he doesn't have to worry about you. You're not 100% perfect, I don't imagine, but you're as perfect as they come. How is your dad, by the way?
Oh, he's just super, Mr. Keith.
That's good.
He and Freddie are working awfully hard at the farm, though. Freddie spends the night out there a couple of times a week now.
Oh, Freddie at the farm tonight?
Mm-hmm. He and Dad are working on some machinery or something. I don't understand those things.
I don't either. I wish I did.
Oh, Freddie's just super when it comes to machinery. And he never went to school or anything. I think that's marvelous, don't you?
I certainly do. You're rather proud of Freddie, aren't you?
Oh, Crickets, Mr. Keith, please don't tease me.
Oh, I'm not teasing you, Nora. I'm serious. Why, I'm proud of him myself. Freddie's come a long way in a short time, and he's done most of it himself. I think if I'd had as bad a start in life as Freddie, I wouldn't amount to anything to this day.
I know Freddie has it. Oh, I think a car just stopped out in front of the house, Mr. Keith.
I think I heard it too, Nora. Maybe it's Penny.
Well, she said she'd be home early, so I suppose she'll be coming home about now. I think I'll go to the window and see.
Oh, Nora, you're a regular old woman. You'd think you were a mother waiting up for a daughter to come home.
Oh, Crickets, I'm not that bad. Oh, it is Miss Gibbs, Mr. Keith.
Oh?
Oh, and what a beautiful car Mr. Carlton has.
Oh, which one is he driving tonight, the Cadillac or the Packard?
Oh, Crickets, I don't know. I can't tell one automobile from another. What kind is it, Mr. Keith?
Well, let's see. I think it's a Packard. Yes, it is.
Oh. They're getting out of the car.
Mm-hmm. Penny certainly looks beautiful, doesn't she?
Oh, golly, I think she's the most beautiful person I've ever seen. Mr. Carlton is handsome, isn't he?
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Mr. Keith, did you see what just happened?
Mm-hmm. Barry leaned over and kissed Penny.
Oh, golly, does that mean he's in love with her?
Well, no, not necessarily. Nora.
Yes, Mr. Keith.
Let's not tell Penny we saw what just took place.
Why doesn't Johnny Keith want Penny to know he saw Barry Carlton kissing her? Is Barry going to work because he's seriously interested in Penny? Be sure to listen to the next dramatic episode of Hearts in Harmony. KCB. KCB. KCB means Kroger Cut Beef. And Kroger Cut Beef means more meat for your money. Right. Kroger Cut Beef gives you more meat, less waste. Because before the meat is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess bone, excess waste, and stringy ends. Take a Kroger cut round steak or roast, for example. The Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess waste and stringy meat before the steak or roast is weighed and priced. You get a minimum of bone. Yes, you get choice cuts only, and it's top U.S. government grades of beef. Beef that's tender, juicy, rich red, and marbled with just the right amount of flavory fat. But visit your neighborhood Kroger store and see for yourself. Remember, whether you buy a steak or a roast, Kroger Cut Beef gives you more meat for your money. Ladies, make plans right this instant to visit your neighborhood Kroger store, the only place you can buy Kroger Cut Beef. Surprise and delight your family with a delicious and juicy steak or roast. And remember, in Kroger Cut Beef, you get more meat for your money, because the Kroger method of cutting beef gives you more meat, less waste. Get Kroger Cut Beef right away at your neighborhood Kroger store. Be sure to join us again tomorrow, same time, same station, for another thrilling transcribed chapter of Hearts in Harmony.
ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Homicide Division. You get a call that the body of a dead man has been found in a vacant lot. The man has been beaten to death. Your job, investigate. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, February 6th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Homicide Division. My partner is Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. It was 10:14 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. Frank?
In here, Joe.
Right. Hi. Morning, Skipper.
Joe, Smith says you ran into a bad one out there in Fountain.
Yeah, we did. Must have been quite a fight out there. The victim's clothes were pretty well torn up. The ground around the body was all trampled. Wonder we could tell that much.
How do you mean?
Well, the body was found by a couple of schoolgirls. The vacant lot out there near Fountain and Selma. Girls took a shortcut through the lot, and when they saw the body, they let out enough screams to get the whole neighborhood over there.
Mother put in the call. By the time the radio unit got there, the neighbors had walked over the whole area. They got the people back right away, but most of the physical evidence, if there was any, had been trampled out. It helps. Any of those people see or hear anything?
No, nothing.
How was he killed?
We found a big piece of concrete near the body, bloodstains on it. The crime lab's checking it now.
Did they find anything else?
No, they're still checking the scene. Lee's going to call. Crowd made such a mess out of the place.
A lot of houses around there. Somebody must have heard something.
Well, we talked to a young girl who lives a couple of doors down from the lot. Seeing she and her boyfriend were coming home from a show. Said about 9:45, 10 o'clock, they noticed a car parked in front of the lot.
Yeah.
The girl said they noticed it right away. Afraid it might be some guys out to cause trouble. She told us that when she and her boyfriend walked by, they heard loud talking, men arguing.
Mm-hmm. She able to describe the car? Just said it was a dark sedan, late model, 51 or 52.
We checked the boyfriend. He told about the same story. He said he thought the car was a dark blue Ford.
Mm.
Well, anyway, the girl said she got scared and went right into the house. A few minutes later, they heard a car tear by. They looked up the street, and the parked car was gone.
This was around 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right.
That might make it about the time of the killing.
Well, we'll know better when the body's posted.
The girl or her boyfriend able to describe the men? No soap, Skipper. All they could tell us was it looked like there were two men in the car. Said they couldn't get a good look at them. License number?
No. The boy said he thought of taking it down, but he didn't.
Tough break. Hanson and Cummings helped check the neighborhood. They didn't do any better. Seems like everybody in the vicinity was away for the evening.
Anything from the coroner, Frank?
No, Hanson just brought this in. Guy's with all the stuff in his pockets.
Let's take a look.
Driver's license. Name's John Allen Iverson. Address been scratched. No, here it is, on the back. Had it changed. 6295 North Serrano Avenue. Height 5'9", born October 2nd, 23. Make it 28, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Weight 136, eyes hazel, brown hair.
What else did you need?
Calendar from an oil company. Blank check. Picture of a puppy. Dalmatian, huh?
Yeah, looks like it, doesn't it?
Picture of a woman.
Let's see that.
Here, wait a minute. Here's a card. Case of accident, please notify Mrs. Alfred Iverson, mother, 6295 Serrano Avenue, Hollywood 98844.
Probably her picture.
She been notified yet?
No, not yet.
Keys, comb, nail file, cigarettes, couple of slugs. Good for one play. Match folder.
Let me see that, huh? George's Pool and Snooker, Burbank Boulevard.
Yeah. Found $13.42 in his pocket. He was wearing a wristwatch, too.
Yeah, the watch looked new. It was expensive.
Money in the watch still there. Doesn't look like robbery.
No, not much. Seems the thief would have taken him anyway.
Any ideas on the motive?
Well, it's hard to say, Skipper. Could be almost anything.
Not much to go on. Lousy thing.
Yeah, and it's not getting any better.
Yeah?
We got to tell his mother now. 10:50 a.m. We called Lee Jones to see if he'd been able to come up with any new information. He told us that besides the piece of cement, his crew had been able to find little other physical evidence. Tests of the blood found on the concrete were not finished, but Lee said that it looked like the murder weapon. Although the ground around the body was fairly soft, the people in the neighborhood effectively obliterated any footprints that the killer might have left. We were faced with the old problem. The average citizen, in an attempt to be helpful, had unknowingly destroyed what physical evidence we might have found. We went by R&I and checked the name John Allen Iverson without result. 11:35 a.m. Frank and I signed out and drove to the address listed on Iverson's driver's license, 6295 North Serrano Avenue. It was a small frame cottage set well back on the lot. The yard was well kept, and as we climbed the front stairs, we could hear a dog barking in the rear of the house. We rang the bell, and a lady in her middle 60s answered the door. It was the woman in the picture that we found in Iverson's wallet.
Yes?
Mrs. Iverson?
Yes?
Police officers, ma'am. I'd like to talk to you if we could.
Well, of course. Won't you come in?
Thank you very much.
You'll have to excuse the way I look. I was in the middle of baking. What was it you wanted, officer? Oh, I'm sorry I don't remember your name.
Joe Friday, ma'am. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you? Is it about the dog barking at night? We've tried to keep him quiet. Alarm clocks, hot water bottles, everything. He's just a puppy, though, officers. He doesn't know.
No, ma'am. It's not about the dog. It's about your boy.
John? What's he done?
Well, he's had an accident, Miss Iverson.
An accident? John?
Yes, ma'am.
Serious?
Yes, ma'am. Pretty serious.
You sure it's my boy? John Allen Iverson?
Yes, ma'am. It's your boy.
He's in the hospital. Is that it?
No, ma'am. He's not in the hospital.
Not in the hospital? He's dead?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
John Allen Iverson? You're sure?
Yes, ma'am. We're sure.
Oh, no. It can't be. I won't let it be. John, my baby. You've got to be wrong.
No, I'm sorry, ma'am.
John dead. Gone away from me for always. Why does it have to be John? Why?
It's always the same question, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, how do you answer it? Frank put in a call to Mrs. Iverson's doctor. 5 minutes later, he arrived and gave her a sedative. We asked if we could talk to her, and he told us that it'd be all right if we kept the questioning brief. He explained that Mr. Iverson, John's father, had died 2 years before, and that his passing had hit Mrs. Iverson pretty hard. He said that it'd be a few minutes before the sedative took full effect and that we might talk to the woman until then. Frank and I walked into the bedroom.
I hope you'll forgive me for crying.
Yes, ma'am, we understand, Miss Iverson. There are a few questions we'd like to ask you.
How did it happen? Auto accident?
No, ma'am, he was murdered.
Murdered? Why? Who did it? Have you caught him yet?
No, not yet, ma'am. That's why we need your help.
Anything I can do? Anything at all? John murdered. Doesn't seem possible. So hard to believe.
Yes, ma'am. Was there anyone you might know of who didn't like your son? Someone who might have hated him enough to do this?
No one. No one at all. John had a lot of friends. Wasn't anybody who didn't like him. Bright and cheery, always smiling. I'm sorry. Please, I want to help. Get this over with. Go ahead with the questions.
Perfectly all right, ma'am. You like my handkerchief?
Oh, thank you. Now, what was it you were asking?
Could you tell us where your son worked?
Airplane factory out in the valley. He's an inspector. Just got a promotion, a raise. He was so proud. First rung of the ladder, he said, on his way up.
Mm-hmm. What factory do you work at, ma'am?
Webster's. They make parts. John worked the morning shift, midnight to 7 in the morning. Said there was a better chance for advancement on the morning shift.
How about girls, ma'am? Anyone special your son saw quite a bit of?
Oh, just Alice. Alice Johnston. Saw her quite a bit. He was going to see her last night. Had a date for 6:30.
When did he leave the house, do you recall?
Oh, 6:15 or so. Alice just lives a few doors down the street. John was going to take her to a championship match over in Burbank.
Ma'am?
Billiards.
Oh.
John loved to play billiards. Alice liked it, too. John always said that when he got married, he's going to have a table right in the house.
Do you happen to remember where in Burbank this billiard match was going to be held?
I'm not sure, but I think John said at George's place, right on Burbank Boulevard.
Do you know if your son had a large amount of money with him when he left?
Well, he had his week's pay with him. He just cashed his check this afternoon, and then he gave me the $30 for the house. He had the rest of it.
About how much would that be?
Oh, maybe $40, $45.
How about jewelry, ma'am? You carry any rings, anything like that?
No, John didn't believe in wearing a ring. Said he'd do that when he got married. There was his watch. He had that.
Wristwatch, ma'am?
Yes, he always carried. He kept perfect time.
Did your son have a car, Miss Iverson?
Yes, a Ford, 1951 Ford.
What color, do you know?
Dark blue. Pretty car. He was so proud of it.
I wonder if you'd have the license number of the car, ma'am.
Yes, I think you'll find it with the phone book in the bureau. He kept all his papers there.
Wonder if it'd be all right if we got it, ma'am.
Yes, all right.
Thank you. This it, ma'am?
Yes, that's it. I still can't believe it.
Yes, ma'am.
It's going to be a hard thing to get used to, isn't it?
Ma'am?
Life without a son.
12:40 p.m. Frank and I drove back to the office and checked the license number we'd gotten through DMV. The car was registered to a John Allen Iverson, 6295 North Serrano Avenue. Legal owner, Bank of America. A local and an all-points bulletin were gotten out on the car, all occupants to be held for investigation. In the event the car was found abandoned, a stakeout was to be placed on it and homicide was to be notified. We checked the name Alice Johnstone through R&I, but there was no record on her. 1:50 p.m. Frank and I drove out to her place of employment, an unpainted furniture factory on Ventura Boulevard. We questioned the girl for a good hour, and she explained that John Iverson was usually on time for his dates with her, but the previous night he'd called to say that he'd be a little late. He called several more times and finally said that he was afraid they'd better cancel the date and that he'd call for her in the morning. She told us that she could think of no reason for anyone to be jealous of her spending so much time with Iverson, that he was the only date that she'd had for over a year. She gave us names and addresses of mutual friends to add to the list we already had to check out. 3:05 p.m. Frank and I went for something to eat. Is that all you're going to eat, Frank? Just that little salad?
Yeah, Elizabeth's got the idea I ought to cut down on my lunches. Said I'm getting too heavy around the middle.
Oh, that's too bad. Chili was good.
Yeah, it looks good. Pretty spicy, was it?
No, just right. A lot of beef.
Uh-huh. Joe?
Yeah?
You think I'm getting too fat?
No, you don't look it to me.
When a man gets in his 30s, he's supposed to look a little portly, isn't he?
Oh, I don't know, Frank. You couldn't prove by me.
Well, I always heard so. My father was pretty heavy. That has a lot to do with it.
That's so?
Well, sure, you know. It's heredity, that stuff. A lot of beef, huh?
Yeah, now look, Frank, why don't you have a bowl of the chili? It doesn't look like it's got too many calories in it.
No, it doesn't, does it? Miss? Oh, miss, could I have a bowl of that chili? Some of that coconut cream pie, too. Thanks.
Yeah, right away.
What do you figure, Joe, about the Iverson?
No, I can't figure it. If we could just come up with a motive, it might be easier. Give us some place to start.
Yeah. Young kid. Seemed everybody liked him.
It looks that way. I've been thinking about that robbery angle. His mother said he left the house with about $45, didn't she? Now, we find him, and he's only got 13 of it left. Where'd the rest go? And that watch. If anybody was going to hold him up, they'd take the watch. They could have gotten something for it.
Bigger revenge? Jealousy?
I don't know. The girl said there wasn't any reason for that. Look, as soon as you finish your lunch, let's check the place he worked. The guys he worked with, maybe they can give us the answer. It's been done before.
Yeah?
Iverson. He just got a raise and a promotion. Maybe somebody thought they should have got it. Before we left the lunchroom, we called the list of names into R&I. 3:32 p.m. Frank and I drove out to the aircraft plant where John Iverson had been employed. We checked with the foreman of the shop, the men he worked with, the personnel office, everyone he came in contact with during the day's work. They all gave us the same answer, that they could see no reason why anyone would want to take his life. 4:56 p.m. The list of names we'd given R&I had come back with no make. None of the names had any criminal record. We called the county morgue and found that the coroner had posted the body and that the cause of death was listed as a subarachnoid hemorrhage due to multiple depressed fractures of the skull. Lee Jones had finished the test and was able to tell us that the piece of concrete found at the scene was more than likely the murder weapon. 6:15 p.m. Frank and I drove over to Burbank to George's Pool and Snooker Hall. It was a big place with a lot of neon over the entrance. Inside, there were about 10 tables with a row of theater chairs on each side of the large room. Just off the entrance was a small bar. Except for a man brushing off the table, the place was empty.
Hi, what'll it be? Pool, billiards, or snooker?
You the manager here?
No, I'm not. I kind of run the place, though, when he's not here. Something I can do?
We're police officers. My name is Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do? I'm Sam Howard.
Were you on duty here last night, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, until about midnight. I leave then. Sometimes when George asks me, I stay on, but I usually shove off about midnight. Why, anything wrong? I can get George on the phone.
You know a man by the name of Iverson, John Iverson? You ever seen him around here?
Iverson? There's an awful lot of guys come in here. Hard to tell. What's he look like?
He's 5'9", about 136 pounds, brown hair. Likes to play billiards, I understand.
John... Yeah, I think I know who you mean. Never knew his last name before, but he comes in here quite a bit. Always plays billiards, 3 cushion.
You see him last night?
Well, there were an awful lot of people here last night. Had a match, pretty crowded.
Well, was he in here last night?
Well, yeah. Came in, watched the match for a while, then he sat up at the bar, had a couple of beers.
Was he drinking with anybody?
Let me think. Yeah, he and another guy were talking it up. The other guy was popping for the drink.
You know the other man?
No, sir. Don't think I ever saw him before.
About what time was that?
Gee, it's hard to say. I was pretty busy.
It's important, Mr. Howard.
Like that, huh? Well, they say it was 7 o'clock, maybe 7:30. Johnny came in first. He watched the matches for a while. Then when this other guy came in, they both moved to the bar. Stayed there talking till about 9:30, 9:45. Then they walked out together.
They were together all evening, then?
Yeah, near as I can tell.
What did this other man look like?
Let me think. I'd say he was maybe 36, 37, had kind of dark hair.
How tall would you say he was?
Oh, about your height, 5'10" or 11. Had on a plaid sport jacket. I noticed that because I've been looking for one like it. You know, sort of Glen plaid, only with more color. Not exactly loud.
What color was the jacket?
Blue. Real rich blue. Must have cost a fellow a lot.
During the conversation, did Iverson and this other man seem to get along all right?
Oh, yeah. Even when the fellow lost the bet.
What bet?
Yeah, they had a bet on a match. The other guy lost, and he had to pay Johnny $10. Didn't have the cash, had to cash a check.
You cash it here?
Yeah, it was a payroll check. George doesn't like it when we cash personal checks. If they bounce, we have to stand the loss.
Do you think we could locate that check, Mr. Howard? Do you happen to remember the company name on it?
No, not right off. I can get it for you.
Sure.
Well, George wasn't feeling too well today, so he didn't get to the bank. Check's still in the safe.
The check was issued from the Kimberly Insurance Company and made out to Martin G. Weber. The endorsement was made by Weber with a notation of his address under the signature. We called the office and had the name run through R&I. There was no record on him. According to the information we've gotten from Sam Howard, the last time the victim was seen alive at 9:45 p.m., he was in the company of Martin Weber. Frank and I got in the car and drove out to the Kimberly Insurance Company. It was a large building on San Fernando Road. The employees were leaving the building when Frank and I got to the office of the general manager. We asked him about Weber, and he told us that he'd been with the firm for the past 10 years, starting as a runner on the floor and rising to the position of office manager. He told us further that in his entire 10 years of service, Weber had never been late or missed a day's work. However, on that particular morning, he hadn't shown up at all. We called our office and arranged for a stakeout on the building of the insurance company. Frank and I drove out to Weber's home, a modern apartment house in the North Hollywood area. We rang the bell, but there was no answer. We checked with the landlord, and he told us that he hadn't seen Weber the night before. In the company of the manager, we checked Weber's apartment. He was not there, and from what we could see, the bed had not been slept in. In further checking, the manager was able to give us the name and address of Weber's sister, a Mrs. Madge Wilson. We arranged for a stakeout on the apartment. 9:20 p.m. Frank and I drove over to check with his sister.
Yes?
Ms. Wilson?
That's right.
Police officers, Ms. Wilson. I'd like to talk to you. My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Come in. But I thought all this had been cleared up.
Ma'am?
Well, you hear about my brother Martin, don't you?
Well, yes, ma'am. I don't think I understand.
Neither do I. It seems to me that you'd spend your time trying to find out why the man did it instead of bothering us. My husband won't like this at all. We're taxpayers. We've got rights.
Just a minute, ma'am. I think maybe there's a misunderstanding.
Nothing of the sort. You're here to talk about Martin, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
No misunderstanding at all. He had an accident. It's up to you to take care of the man who did it. Put him in jail for a long time.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wilson. I'm not sure we know what you're talking about.
Well, this is the limit. My poor husband spends practically the whole night filling out forms, and you didn't even take time to read them. I'm talking about Martin's accident. The man who ran him down last night, put him in the hospital, broke his leg. That's what I'm talking about. I've got 2 kids upstairs with bad colds, and I haven't got time to stand around and talk to you. If there's anything else you want to know, you can talk to my husband. He'll tell you.
You say your brother was run down by a car last night, ma'am?
Yes, last night.
And he's in the hospital now?
Yes.
Now, look, we're only trying to conduct an investigation, ma'am. Could you tell us what time this accident happened and where?
All right. It's on the report, if you'd only read it.
Yes, ma'am.
Martin was on his way home last night. He stepped off the curb out on Burbank Boulevard, and this car came right around the corner and hit him. Broke his leg. Sent him to the hospital. He's been there ever since. He's there now.
What time did this happen, ma'am? Do you know?
Sure I know. It was 9:45.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos, the finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
When we explained about John Iverson's death to Mrs. Wilson, she was extremely apologetic about the way she'd acted. She went on to say that her brother did have an appointment with Iverson the night before. We put in a call to Sergeant Erbson of the Accident Record Bureau downtown, and he told us that there was a traffic accident report which listed the time of the accident at 9:46, corroborating the story given us by Mrs. Wilson. Weber had been given emergency treatment at Georgia Street and then transferred to General Hospital. From what Sam Howard had told us, we knew that Iverson had been alive at approximately 9:45 p.m. The deputy coroners fixed the time of death at approximately 10 or 10:30 p.m. The fact that Martin Weber had been run down by a car at 9:46 p.m. seemed to absolve him of any part in the crime. The stakeouts at his place of business and his home were removed. Frank and I drove over to General Hospital to interview Martin Weber. His leg was in traction, but he seemed to be in good spirits.
I was on my way home, just stepped off the curb to catch a bus. Next thing I know, I looked up right into a pair of headlights. Almost scared me to death. And whammo, I was on the street, my leg broken. Oh, well, I'm covered. The whole thing won't cost me a cent.
Yes, sir. We were talking to Sam Howard over at George's billiard hall. He said you were there with John Iverson last night. That right?
Yeah, that's right. Had a talk with old John. Had a big business deal, trying to sell him some insurance.
Oh, I didn't know you were a salesman, Mr. Weber.
Well, I'm not really. Office manager. I don't like the job. Figured if I could bring in a good sale, the boss might let me have a crack at selling.
Well, did Iverson give you any indication that he wanted any insurance?
Well, not right off. He's always been worried about his mother, though. You know, if anything should happen to him.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple of days ago, one of the pressmen out at the plant where John works was killed. Accident. I thought this might be a good chance to try to sell John some coverage. You know, life. Leave his mother a little something.
Yes, sir.
Well, old John wasn't an easy one, let me tell you. Told me he wasn't completely sold on insurance yet, and then he said he'd leave it up to the billiard match.
Sir?
If the championship changed hands, then John would buy some insurance. If it didn't, I had to pay him $10. I lost. Had to cash my paycheck to do it, too. Yeah, those are the breaks, though, aren't they? Lose a sale and then get hit by a car. So what's this all about, anyway? Why all the questions about old John?
Well, he was killed last night, Mr. Weber.
Killed? What do you mean?
He was murdered.
Well, how did it happen?
That's what we're trying to find out, sir. While you were at the bar with Iverson, did you see him talk to anybody, anyone besides you?
No, he made a couple of phone calls, said they were to his girlfriend, but that's about all. Wait a minute.
Yeah?
When we got outside the bar, there were a couple of guys that came up and talked to him.
Had these men been in the bar?
Yeah, come to think of it, they were sitting right next to us. When I had to cash that check, I didn't have a pen to endorse it, and one of the guys gave me his to use.
You ever seen them before?
No, I don't think I ever did.
Can you describe the men, Mr. Weber, what they looked like?
I didn't pay much attention to him. One of the fellows was a big guy, maybe 6 feet or more, a couple of 100 pounds anyway.
How old would you say?
Oh, maybe 37, around there. I'd know him if I saw him again.
Well, how's that, sir?
The scar, had a scar right across here on his forehead. Made him look like he was frowning all the time.
How about the other man?
I'm afraid I can't be of much help there. He was short, 5'5" or 6", heavy, 180 more or less. I think he was wearing a flannel suit. I can't be sure about that.
You saw these men out on the sidewalk with Iverson right after you left the bar, is that right?
Yeah. After I told John goodnight, I walked over to the corner. I saw these two fellows come up to John, and from what I could hear, they were asking for a lift someplace.
He gave him a ride, did he?
I don't know. I saw my bus come and made a run for it.
Was there anything else you can tell us about these men that might help? Anything at all? Any little thing you might remember?
Gee, not that I can remember. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to them. Just a couple of guys sitting next to us. One of them lent me his pen.
Well, how about the pen? Any initials on it?
No. It was the tall guy, the one with the scar. He loaned it to me. It was one of those plastic things, you know, with a figure that disappears when you turn upside down?
Mm-hmm, I know the kind you mean.
I noticed it because I thought it was kind of cute. Anyway, it was put out by a Venetian blind company. It had the name right on it.
Can you remember the name?
Let me see. Rogers. Rogers Blind Company.
All right, fine. Here's our card. If you remember anything else, we'd appreciate a call.
Sure thing. Say, you fellas going out to Rogers?
Yes, sir.
I kind of hate to ask.
Yes, sir.
You pick up one of those pens for me?
$11:35 p.m. We called the office, and they told us that Iverson's car had been found abandoned up on Wonderland Drive in Laurel Canyon. It was taken to the police garage and impounded. The crime lab had gone over the car for fingerprints, and in eliminating the prints of the people known to have been in the car and friends of Iverson, they'd come up with one unidentified print. As remote as it was, the lead about the pen had to be checked out. We called the Rogers Blind Company, and the night watchman gave us the home phone number of the personnel manager. We called him, and he agreed to meet us at the plant. We gave him the description of the man who had talked to Iverson outside of the bar, and he was able to identify him as a Peter Standish, a former salesman with the company. He recognized Standish from the description of the scar, but he was unable to tell us the name of the other man. The personnel manager furnished us with Standish's last known address, but he'd moved and left no forwarding address. Frank and I went back to the office and ran the name through R&I. Standish had a record of 2 arrests on suspicion of 211 PC, one of them only a month before. Sergeants Hanson and Cummings drove out to the General Hospital to show a mugshot of Standish to Martin Weber. He positively identified the suspect as the man he'd seen talking to Iverson on the night of the murder. We checked with Dean Bergman and Leighton Prince. The fingerprint found in the car matched perfectly with the prints of Standish. Frank and I drove out to the last address on the suspect's arrest report. The manager of the apartment told us that he'd gone out a few minutes before. She told us that there was another man living in the apartment with Standish, and the description she gave tallied closely with the one we had of the man seen with Standish in the bar the night of the murder. She informed us that he was registered under the name of Charles Teal. In the company of the manager, we made a search of the suspect's apartment, but we found nothing. We asked the manager not to give any indication that we were in the apartment, and she agreed to cooperate. We settled down to wait. An hour went by, an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yes. Well, I'm getting tired of it, Teal. Every night the same thing, dragging out of some crummy bar. You don't knock it off, I'm going to get myself another boy. Not only that, but I'm getting sick of...
Let's hold it right there. All right, hold it, mister. Hold still.
Fuzz, crummy fuzz. I had to walk right into it.
How's the other one, Frank?
He's out.
Want to shake him down?
Yeah. What do you want with me, cop? I done nothing. You got nothing to hold me for?
He's clean, Joe. So's the other one.
We got plenty, Standish. Let's go.
What? What you got on me?
Murder, mister.
Murder me? You're crazy. You're off your rocker.
Yeah, sure. All right, Frank?
I'm getting him up. Come on, boy.
I told you, Standish. I told you they'd get him. Shut up,
All right, let's hold it right there, mister. Don't make any more problems.
It was him. He did it. I didn't want to. It was his idea. I'll tell you all about it.
Should have known not to trust you, Teal. Look what you got me into.
We only wanted his money. He wouldn't give it to us. Standish kept trying to hit him with that piece of cement. I tried to make him stop.
You try to stop me splitting the dough. You got more than half.
Don't worry about it.
What do you mean?
We'll split this one even.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 4th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 86, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, as we told you earlier, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. That same Fatima quality is the reason why king-size Fatima continues to grow in popularity among smokers everywhere. Try them and see if you don't agree with me. That Fatima gives you an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Next time you buy cigarettes, look for the bright sunny yellow pack and ask for king-size Fatima.
Peter James Standish and Charles Edward Teal were tried and convicted of robbery and murder in the first degree. They were sentenced to life imprisonment. They're now serving their term in the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ken Patterson, Gwen Delano, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Friday, hear the Mario Lanza Show over NBC.
Pat Novak for hire. Sure, I'm Pat Novak for hire.
That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak For Hire. It's about the only way to make a living down on the waterfront in San Francisco. Because around here, a set of morals won't cause any more stir than Mother's Day in an orphanage. Maybe that's not good, but that's the way it is. And it wouldn't do any good to build a church down here, because some guy'd muscle in and start cutting the wine with wood alcohol. All you can do is try to make the books balance, and the easiest way to do that is keep one hand on your billfold and the other hand on somebody else's. Oh, I rent boats and do anything else that'll buy a warm winter. It works out all right. It saves the government a lot of money. But if anything goes wrong, your trouble comes hard. It doesn't do any good to sing the blues, because down here, you're just another guy in the chorus. I found that out Wednesday afternoon. It started to rain up by Pier 19, and I knew there was a storm on the way. The bay looked flat and smoothed over, but you can say that for a lot of quarrels. So I closed the office and walked down to the barber shop for a shave. The barber lathered me up so I couldn't answer back and started to tell me how Dean Atchison ought to handle things. About 5 minutes later, somebody walked into the shop and started tapping my foot. He got tired of that and moved up to my chest.
Hey, you listening? Hey.
Stop pushing. That's my chest, not a buzzer.
Are you listening?
Yeah. What's on your mind?
Hey, I want to talk to you alone.
He's a barber. He won't listen.
Let's go alone.
All right, let's go. I'll be back in a minute.
How do you like that? I got a 14 costume white. He says...
I want to hire you tonight. Will you do something for me?
Not for friendship.
I give you $200 to follow a woman.
I've done it for less.
Not this kind. Her name is Agnes Bolton. You'll find her at 7 o'clock tonight down at this bowling alley. Here's the card.
Mm-hmm.
Address is there.
How do I spot her? Read it off an ankle bracelet?
You won't have any trouble. She's a large woman, about 50 years old, with a reddish face.
Oh, that's no help. For 50, she sounds normal.
Not Agnes. She couldn't pass for 90. She'll be playing in the last alley with a women's team called the Playmores.
Yeah?
You'll follow her out of the bowling alley. Somewhere along the line, she'll pick up a green leather bag. After that, I need your help.
It doesn't sound like love.
She'll go to the yacht harbor. Get aboard a boat called Seventh Heaven. I want you to have your boat ready and follow her into the bay. She'll leave that bag aboard some ship. I want to know the name of it.
Now, is that $200 worth?
Yes. I'll wait for you in your office. Contact me there and be careful.
Is she that tough?
No, but her friends are.
With a figure like that, how come she's got any?
They're holdovers. Now, just be careful.
Yeah, well, it sounds easy at these prices.
That depends on your luck, Mr. Novak. If it turns bad, you've been cheating.
He stood at the door for a minute, and his eyes swept the shop like a $10 broom. And then he turned around and walked off. Well, you couldn't tell anything from his face, and his smile was as smooth as a pound of liver in a bucket of glycerin. Well, after I finished, I went down to Pier 19, and I took the boat up to the yacht harbor. I tied up near the Seventh Heaven, and I started downtown to that bowling alley. It was ladies' night, and I stood against the back rail and watched the women bowl. Most of them were wearing slacks, and if I ever get a few bucks ahead, I know the right business. At least the demand is there. About 10 minutes after I got there, Agnes Bolton showed up, and I knew right away Max Hunter overrated her. She was at least 50, because you can't get that ugly without years of practice. She was wearing a green woolen dress, and her figure wasn't any worse than a bale of cotton somebody's cut the wire on. The fat hung down from her arms, and there was so much of it you knew even her bones were plump. And Max was right about her complexion. It was red and scratchy as if she used a bag of sand for cold cream. Well, I must have stood there about 10 minutes watching them bowl when the other girl came up. I didn't see her, but I felt her as she brushed up against me from behind. She leaned on the railing close to me, and when she started to talk, it was like grafting a hot iron onto your spine.
You look sad, Mr. Novak. Is it the view?
What are you, the repair squad?
No. I want you to do me a favor.
You do me one. Slide over. I bruise easy.
Oh?
Now, what's on your mind?
I want you to do me a favor. Don't follow Agnes Bolton.
You're pretty, but I got Max Hunter's dough.
I'll help you spend it. Don't let Agnes Bolton get to that boat.
Look, Angel, go warm up an armory. I got a deal.
Suppose I tell Agnes Bolton you're going to follow her.
You tell her first without tagging by here. Now, if you got something on your mind, lay it on the line or relax.
I want her worse than Max Hunter does. When she gets that green bag, I want you to bring her to me.
I couldn't move her that far. You better rent a derrick.
Please, Mr. Novak. It's important to me. I want to talk to Agnes Bolton. I can give you more money than Max Hunter.
You haven't got enough to cover, lady. You're talking about kidnapping, and that's a federal rap. The answer's no.
You're sure?
Unless you want to change the offer.
I hope you make it, darling.
I may.
Don't bet your $200. It's bad to die broke.
Is anybody that tough?
Now it's my turn to brush you off. Go ahead and follow her, Mr. Novak. But I'll bet you have to roll her the last couple of miles. And unless you can prove it's an election bet, the police will cause you trouble.
Well, I watched her as she turned her back and walked out of there. She looked real good. She was wearing a tight jersey dress that gave you the idea she either thought the weather was warm or she wasn't much on details. Well, I turned around and looked for Agnes Bolton. The game was breaking up, and she started into the dressing room. A few minutes later, she came out and started down Market Street. There was no trouble following her. You could see her in the crowd. And she rolled from side to side as she walked, and when she bumped into anybody, they looked back at her as if they'd been hit in the chest with a sack of jelly. She crossed the street at Stockton, went into a little coin shop. She came out about 5 minutes later with a green leather bag. She strapped it over her shoulder, and she held onto her purse with the other hand. At Powell Street, she got on the cable car up near the front. I moved up there to be safe. She looked heavy enough to tip a cable car uphill. In that light, she didn't look any better. Part of her hair had come undone and hung down in her face like the branches on a dead tree. I noticed her eyes for the first time. They were small and so close together they could have saved time and put them in one socket. Well, she got off the cable car at Geary and walked into a hotel. I followed her and watched her squeeze into a telephone booth on the other side of the lobby. The way she fit, a sardine ought to be happy. She took some money out of her purse and started to dial. A couple of people moved in front of her, and I didn't get a look at her for about 5 minutes. And when they moved away, she was still talking to somebody. I looked up about 10 minutes later, and I knew something was wrong. Her head was pressed against the phone. She'd run out of conversation. I walked across the lobby and opened the door to get to the phone booth. She fell out as old as she'd ever get. There, hey, help me get over to the couch, will you?
Yes, sir. Was she your wife?
If she was, this is the way I'd want her.
Her purse is spilled all over the floor. Sure is a mess.
Yeah.
She's some relative, huh?
Look, mister, stop trying to pair us up. I was around when she tumbled out, that's all.
Yeah. What'd she die from?
I don't know.
I just figured you might know what she died from.
No, I don't.
It's a simple question to answer when you know what she died from.
All right, let me through here. Come on. All right, stand back. Give her air.
She can't use anymore, Copper.
Huh?
She quit about 5 minutes ago.
Who are you?
I'm not dead. She is.
Then who's she?
You better check on her stuff, and don't forget that green bag.
Yeah. What bag?
The green bag over there on the floor. Well, it was over there a minute ago.
The same one the little guy had?
What little guy?
The one who was talking to you. He just walked out of here carrying a green bag.
Oh, I got out on the street, and the little man had just crossed Geary. He turned and looked back once, and I saw him melt into the crowd and disappear quick like the wake of a ship on a dark night. When I came back to the lobby, the copper was over by the couch making noises in his throat as if he was trying to eat a pound of cellophane. The manager of the hotel was wringing his hands and making little steps like a ballet dancer with a hot foot. The copper took my name and put in a call to homicide, and a few minutes later, I got into that phone booth. There was a number on the pad, and I took it down. It was Greystone 42961. Well, it didn't prove much, but Agnes Bolton wasn't out to prove much tonight. I began going through the phone book, but there was no Max Hunter listed, and when I called the office, nobody answered. I knew there was as much chance of him showing up as a second piece of butter on a 50-cent lunch. I ran down that Greystone number and found out it was an address out on Post Street. I walked through the lobby and out the side door. Some of the people were out of the dining room, and they looked mad because Agnes Bolton had died during the roast beef instead of later. Well, I walked down Geary to the Union Square garage and gave the guy my ticket. He started down the ramp for the car, and I stood there waiting. I must have looked lonely, because Hellman from Homicide shoved up near the cashier's cage and started over. He made his way through the cars, and as he squeezed by the last one, he looked like a sea lion.
Hello, Novak. We identified her.
Well, you had lots to work with, Hellman.
Where are you going?
Out on Post Street.
I'll go with you. Her name was Agnes Bolton.
You read it somewhere?
She was a government agent.
They got their money's worth.
Coroner says she died of quick poison.
How quick?
5 minutes.
You're working him too hard, Hellman.
He's got a license. He says 5 minutes.
She was in that phone booth 10 minutes. Nobody got to her.
She looked dead to me, Novak. I don't believe you.
Well, I'm hurt.
I don't believe a thing you say.
That's up to you. I'm not starting a religion, Hellman. I watched her for 10 minutes. Nobody got to her. You better check on that little guy.
Yeah?
She was carrying a green bag. The little guy walked out of there with it.
He sounds hard to find. You don't.
Hey, mister, is this your ticket?
Yeah, it's a blue nag.
You better come down and drive it up.
Why?
I can't get to the wheel. The guy on there won't move.
Huh?
I don't blame him either. When you're dead, you got a right to rest.
Hellman stood there a minute, wiping his teeth with his tongue, and it began to sound like somebody beating the bathtub with a piece of steak. When he finished making noises, we walked down the ramp to the car. It was the little guy who had taken the green bag. He was hunched over, and he was grabbing the wheel as if he'd just married it. Hellman lifted his head up and laid him across the seat. The light was bad, but you could see a little of his face. There was watering around his forehead, and the damp hair was plastered down under his hat brim. The perspiration had broken up and started to run down his forehead like tears, and you got the idea he cried out of his hairline instead of his eyes. He didn't look surprised or pained. He just stared with a puzzled look as if he'd missed part of the conversation. Hellman stood there trying to wipe some egg off his coat and turning to look at the guy to make sure he didn't leave.
So what happened, Novak?
So he had an automobile accident, Hellman. I don't know.
He's your passenger?
He bummed the ride himself. When I saw him, he was on his way with that green bag.
Where is it?
He got talked out of it. You better check on a guy named Max Hunter.
Whose cousin is he?
He gave me $200 to tail Agnes Bolton. I got another offer, too.
Yeah?
A blonde biscuit, and she said everything on the beat.
For a total stranger, you sure met a lot of people.
You better meet a lot of them, too, Hellman, because one of them got to Agnes Bolton.
How about Junior here? Did he crawl down the ramp and die on your seat covers?
I don't know how he got here.
Well, maybe you left him here and forgot.
No, he wouldn't slip my mind. I haven't murdered anybody in the front seat.
Well, but it's lively, though. You better get a story, Novak.
You already got mine, Hellman.
You won't like the ending.
No, but I'll bet you do.
I like it fine, Novak. You're the only lead on Agnes Bolton. I'll shop around and get enough to pin you down.
You couldn't pin down a dead butterfly, Hellman. You better look up Max Hunter and check on a boat called the Seventh Heaven.
I will, and I'll put a tail on you, Novak. Follow you all over San Francisco. He'll go any place.
That's fine, because I got a suggestion. As soon as Hellman left, I took a cab out to that address on Post Street, but it was a waste of time. I might as well have been peddling tip sheets in a monastery. There was a brown house on the corner, and there was a big curved window that stuck out from the rest of the house like a wart on the back of your neck. A toothy old man answered the door and said he didn't know Agnes Bolton. I was pretty sure he was on the level. He just kept nodding his head and rubbing the wrinkles on his face. There were enough of them there to bundle up and sell as a canal. I left no downtown. On the way, I went by the yacht harbor, and the Seventh Heaven had moved out into the stream. Well, it was raining harder now, and the docks looked shiny as if somebody had given them a coat of egg white. Well, I had a couple of places to hit, so I looked up Jocko Madigan. He's a good guy who never learned that if you keep your foot on a bar rail for 20 years, it'll do more good for your arches than it will for your brain. I finally found him in the hunt room of the Bellevue Hotel.
A drink for Mr. Novak. Something to take off the chill.
No, I don't want a drink, Jocko, and you've had enough, too.
I refuse to shiver to death, Patsy. I'd look terrible with a blue face.
Will you stop drinking, Jocko?
I hate whiskey, Patsy, but I'm drinking tonight with a purpose. I made a deal with Charlie the bartender to buy every 8th drink, and I've got him on the run. By morning, I'll have him in bankruptcy court.
Look, Jocko, I'm in trouble.
I always know when I've had enough to drink, Patsy. When I tilt the glass up, the rim rubs against the bridge of my nose. It's a sort of safeguard, so that when my nose begins to break out in blisters, I know I've had enough for the night.
Will you listen?
Patsy, you sound like a young girl coming home from boarding school. You'll never be on the right side of things. You'll always be in trouble because you're a bad citizen. You're a shabby half-step in the march of progress.
All right, Jocko.
You don't know the difference between good and evil. For you, all of human endeavor is a vague blur in high heels, and your vocabulary is a few gutter terms sandwiched in between yes and no. You'll never be any good, Patsy.
Yeah.
You might as well try to recapture melancholy or ventilate a swamp. You haven't a chance, Patsy. You'll never be any good.
Are you all through, Jocko?
Yes, if you're going to be touchy.
Hellman wants me on a murder rap.
Yes?
Some tubby woman died in the hotel lobby.
Sounds like his mother.
She was a government agent. I followed her in there.
Patsy, you've got to start trusting the government.
I was paid to follow her, but she ate some poison somewhere along the line.
That's the trouble with food.
I got hired by a guy named Max Hunter.
Look him up and resign. That's the best way out of this thing.
I don't know where to find him, and I think that Max Hunter's a phony. Oh, you got to help me.
Yeah?
Now, he gave me this card. His prints must be on it. Check it down at headquarters, will you? Find out if he's got a record and then tag by my place.
Yes, I better have a drink first. There's an ugly taste in my mouth. I think it's saliva.
Will you hurry up, Jocko? All you do is drink.
That's all I have left, Patsy. I'm too young to die and too old to do almost anything else.
Yeah, sure.
It's true, Patsy. When you get to be my age, most of the quiet pleasures are fattening, and most of the active ones would kill me. Good night, lover.
When I left Jocko, I dropped by the Chronicle morgue to look up Max Hunter. There was nothing under Hunter. I looked through every Max from Bear back to Beer Bum, and I couldn't find a thing. Well, it was close to 11 when I rode down to the office for a final check. It wasn't raining hard anymore. It was a nice, easy drizzle. You could hear it playing against the sheds along Pier 19. It sounded quiet, almost private, like the sound a woman makes when she runs her fingernail up and down her stocking. It got on your nerves at first, and then you began to enjoy it. The minute I got to the door, I knew something was wrong. There wasn't any reason, but I got the feeling. The same way you know sometimes when you're going to get the busy signal on the phone. I could see her lying there on the floor before I turned on the light. You took one look at her, and you knew she was the sort of girl whose name ought to be Pearl or Myrtle. Somebody'd sapped her, and she was lying with one hand stretched out and the other under her hair. It wasn't really hair. It looked more like a pelt or a raccoon just after a shampoo. It was fuzzed up on the sides, and on top she'd combed it back so tight it was about to go under the scalp. She began to move a little. When I bent over, she started to mumble.
What do you want?
The red, if you're going to stay long. Here, put your head up.
Are you Mr. Novak?
It's too late to change.
Where's Agnes Bolton? Where'd she go, Mr. Novak?
I don't know where she went. Was she a good girl?
Something's happened to her.
Don't worry, it won't happen again. Who sent you here, Max Hunter?
Yeah. Please help me out.
All right, come on.
I'm Francine Cain. I came to find out about Agnes Bolton.
You're a deep sleeper. What happened?
You wouldn't know her.
I would if she's a tall blonde on the make for that green bag. Who is she?
Joan Hayward. You can find her at the Geary Theater.
She an actress?
Not exactly.
Yeah.
Her stray talents, Mr. Novak, are dimensional rather than dramatic. If you're smart, you'll stay away from her.
Don't tell him any more, Fran. He's paid up.
Hello, Hunter. You oversold me.
You give me back the $200.
I'm going to give you lots for your money.
Don't include Agnes Bolton. I don't know anything about her.
Is that a lie?
Might be. There's the green bag.
Joan Hayward has it.
Is that a lie?
The little guy didn't think so. She left him dead in my car.
Let's go, Fran.
Now, you're in a hurry, Max.
You're not. I hope you like your office, Novak.
Huh?
Because this is where you're going to spend the night.
Don't let him feel bad, lady. It must have been his turn. When I left, he was crumpled up against the desk, and she was staring down at him as if she forgot to water the plants. When I rode by the Geary Theater, it was dark, so I looked up Joan Hayward's address. When I got out to her place, I knew I'd made a mistake. The landlady clutched her bathrobe like a bar of solid gold and told me Joan Hayward left the house 10 minutes ago. There was a cabbie at the corner, and he said he dropped her at the Gold Bar Club a few minutes before. I got down there about 1 o'clock, and Hellman was wandering around, stopping every few feet as if he expected to hear something. The bar was dark except for a light over on one side, and over near the jukebox, Joan Hayward was stretched out as dead as a deer on a fender. At first, Hellman didn't pay any attention when I walked in. I stood there for a while and looked at Joan Hayward. She still looked pretty, except in the dim light her skin looked coarse and reminded you of a piece of felt that was almost worn out. But the rest was all right, and Hellman came over for another look.
What did you forget, Novak?
My black tie. How'd it happen?
The bar was closed. Where were you?
Crawling out from under your thumb.
Yeah. We're going to keep that coroner. It was quick poison.
Yeah.
We found a needle in her coin purse. She didn't know about it and ran into trouble when she started to call up.
You better find this guy, Max Hunter.
That's going to be hard.
Yeah?
There is no Max Hunter.
Does she believe that?
Your Schicker friend came in with a card. We went over the fingerprints. They belong to Jackie Wren. He's wanted for espionage.
For more than that now, Hellman.
Maybe. Where have you been?
Look, Hellman, stop needling me. I won't go on the block for her.
Don't you like her?
I got an alibi you can't break. I've been all over town. Ask your tail. Ask your tail where I've been.
That won't get it.
Huh?
He reported in at 11:30. You got the wrong idea, Novak. You don't rate overtime.
When I left there, I knew everything was downhill. Hellman could stick me for everything but Dan McGrew. My only out was to find Jackie Wren, but you can't ring that many doorbells in one night. I went through the book, but there was no Jackie Wren or Max Hunter listed. I went home to get some sleep, and if they turned Gabriel loose tonight, that was all right with me. Jocko called up about 9 and said there was still no trace of Wren. Well, some mornings you can't trust yourself with a razor, so I got dressed and went down to a Greek's on Geary Street for breakfast. The murder was all over page 1, but there were so many pictures of Hellman you couldn't tell who was dead. I was about halfway through breakfast when I noticed the story down in the corner. A girl named Toni Pritchard had been found dead out in the marina. The story said everybody liked her. The police didn't have a lead, and they couldn't find a reason. It seemed kind of funny, but when I got to the last paragraph, I began to wonder. It said she was employed by the Musitone Company and worked the late shift as a switchboard operator. I wasn't sure, but you can't pass the dice when you only got a buck left, so I jumped down to see Frank Lupo. He said the Musitone Company owned the jukebox and the Gold Bar Club, but it worked like all the rest. People use a little microphone in front of the box. They call into a main switchboard for songs. I grabbed Jocko, and we got up to the Musitone Company. The guy in charge said, sure, they recorded some of the talk just to check on the girls, and sometimes the girls did it just for laughs. Well, we started through the recordings, and about half hour later, Jocko rolled a 7.
No, Patsy, they're all old ones. Try this.
Yeah. Well, put it down. I'll handle the needle.
There.
Crazy, Jackie. You know something's wrong. Let me handle it, friend. You don't get into trouble. I don't want you to get into trouble, Jackie.
Will you let me worry? You get back to the hotel. I'll meet you at the Kenwood right after.
It's too late. She's coming now. I think she called, Jackie.
You made a mistake, Joe. It's one time you shouldn't have hurried.
That's enough, Jocko. Let's get up to Kenwood.
Why don't we think it over a while?
Put the record down and come on there at the Kenwood. You heard the shots.
That's what I'm worried about. If that fellow's any kind of a mechanic, he's had time to reload.
I got down to headquarters and told Hellman why that girl, Toni Pritchard, lost her vote. We rode out to the Kenwood, and Hellman started through the register. There was no Jackie Wren listed, and we didn't have any better luck with the girl. I briefed the desk clerk, and he said he thought there were 2 people in the hotel who looked like that, but he didn't know their names. Well, all we could do was wait for him to show. So Hellman and I walked down the street and slid into the car. It must have been about 3 o'clock, and for the next 4 hours we sat in there. About 7 o'clock it began to rain harder. It wasn't easy to see the front of the Kenwood. I got out to wipe the windshield, and that was a mistake, because just then the door of the hotel swung open. The girl came out first, and then Jackie Wren. He saw me right away, and the 2 of them jumped over to the curb and got into a car. Riding with Hellman's just about as safe as eating an arsenic sandwich. When we got to the corner, they turned east and started down Bush. It wasn't easy to stay behind them. The rain was hitting the windshield, and it was like trying to see through a mint julep. When we got past Jones, Hellman began to close in. It must have scared Wren too much, because it stopped and he swung the car around with Hellman a few feet behind, and it was a dead end both ways.
You can't get out now. Open the door.
Yeah. There he is, over to the wall. Over here, Hellman. He'll go down that embankment on the other side.
Oh, you can't. It's too steep. Stay on this side. You see him?
No. But he's around, I think.
You got a chance now, Wren. Come on out.
I don't like you that well, mister.
Over there by the embankment. Can you see the girl?
She's with him.
Over to one side. Move up in front.
Oh, you're confused, Hellman. I pay the taxes.
It's gonna hurt from now on, Wren. I'm coming over.
I hope you make it, Copper. All right, Copper. Unless you want a medal, I'm through.
You don't need the gun, then. Get rid of it. Just toss it over there.
I can't even lift my arm.
Throw it down, mister.
Jackie, please.
I threw it right at you, Copper. Francine, you crazy woman, you crazy.
You let him kill me.
He's going over that embankment.
You let him kill me right in front of you.
No, Jackie. Please, Jackie, I tried to stop you. Jackie.
Reverend Novak, she's going over.
Leave me alone. Oh, Ned. Jackie, I want you.
Forever.
I want you, Jackie. At least they can let me have this. Jackie!
Long way down.
Yeah. Too bad her name wasn't Jill. Last I saw Francine, she was lying down at the bottom in the rain. Her head was over to one side, and you knew with a little push it'd roll around as easy as a ball bearing on a plate. Her face was clean, but the rain was beginning to wash the dirt down. When I left, she wasn't pretty anymore. Jackie Wren outlasted her by a few hours, and Hellman used them all. Agnes Bolton was carrying government papers bound for China. The four people were split into teams. Jackie Wren and Francine were trying to outbid Joan Hayward and the little guy. The way Jackie had it figured, he'd find out what ship they were going out on and pick it up from there. Joan Hayward knew he was dealing with me, so she followed me after I left that barber shop. She saw me park the car in that garage and tailed me down to the bowling alley. She planted the needle in Agnes Bolton's purse, and the little guy tagged along behind waiting for something to happen. Just to be on the safe side in case anything went wrong, Joan doubled by the office and gave Francine a headache. When the little guy got the green bag, he took it to Joan. It was too good to split, so she killed him and left him in my car. Well, then she made a mistake. When Jackie called her up and asked her to come down to the Gold Bar Club, she bought the story. Oh, it would have worked out fine for Jackie if he hadn't talked in front of that microphone. But a nosy girl heard it and tried to put the screws on him. Well, Hellman asked only one question. About that conversation between Jackie and the girl. Why would a person say anything that private in front of a microphone? I don't know. But I told him about a couple of others Jocko and I heard. He didn't say anything, but I'll bet he gets a hold of those records and plays them every night before he goes to sleep.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to forgery detail. Several small neighborhood businessmen are being victimized by a check forger. His method of operation is an old one, but the merchants continue to be swindled. Your job, get him. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, July 22nd. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of forgery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way into work, and it was 7:50 a.m. when I got to room 29. Forgery detail.
Morning, Joe.
Frank, how's it going?
Well, what'd I tell you?
What do you mean?
Well, what'd I say just last night when we signed out?
I don't know. What did you say?
You remember.
Well, look, Frank, it's been a hot night. Looks like today's going to be hotter. No guessing games, huh?
Well, that's just it. It was hot, just like I told you last night.
Well, all right. You convinced me. I don't get it, but it's okay.
Joe, I told you yesterday. Must have said it 5 or 6 times at least. Earthquake weather. That was the last thing I said to you before we went home. Earthquake weather.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I guess you'll believe me now, huh? This is what they call earthquake weather.
Well, look, we're not going to go through all that again, are we?
Well, Joe, you felt it, didn't you?
Well, sure I felt it. Everybody did. That hasn't put any more foundation under that old wives' tale of yours.
You ought to believe it now if you never did before. I tell you, Joe, in this kind of hot, muggy weather, you get earthquakes.
All right, you win. What about last July? We didn't have any then, do we?
Well, not every year, no, but that doesn't change it. All earthquakes hit in this kind of weather, Joe.
Oh, yeah, sure they do. Now, you tell them that up at Berkeley, you're going to change the whole seismograph theory, Frank.
Well, they can't tell you when you're going to get one, only how bad it was after it hits. That's what we need up there, Joe, some kind of a gadget to tell us when.
Well, why worry? You can tell from the weather.
Excuse me, am I in the right place? Is there an Officer Smith around here?
Yes, sir, I'm Frank Smith. What can I do for you?
My name's Martin Miller. I run Marty's Mart at 6th and Benson.
Beg your pardon?
Marty's Mart, little grocery store at 6th Street on the corner of Benson.
Oh, yes, sir.
Mr. Alms from the bank sent me up to see you.
Yeah, sure. This is my partner, Sergeant Friday, Mr. Miller.
How are you, Mr.
Yeah,
Miller?
how you doing?
Alms over at the B of A called just before you got in, Joe. Said he was sending Mr. Miller over to see us.
Why don't you have a chair, Mr. Miller? Here.
Joe, Alms says that somebody's forging Mr. Miller's checks.
Your personal check, sir?
No, sir, my business checks. Marty's Mart, 6th and Benson.
Let's see if we have this right, Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir.
According to Alms, there have been 7 checks passed. They were all passed last Saturday night. Is that correct?
That's what he told me, yes, sir. That's why I come down to see you, but that's not quite all.
How's that, sir?
Well, you see, as soon as I talked to the bank and I found out that somebody was forging my checks, I went home and told the wife about it.
Yes, sir.
Well, the bank tells me the man who's been doing the dirty work's a fellow by the name of Roger Theodore or something like that.
Yes, that's right. That's the way we have it here.
Oh, you know this man? You got him arrested already?
Well, no, sir. I mean, that's what Mr. Alms over at the bank told us.
Oh, yeah, sure. I didn't think you boys would move that fast. That'd be pretty fast work there.
Now, you say there were 7 checks of yours that this Theodore has forged, is that right?
No, sir, that's all the bank knows about. The wife and I did a little detective work on our own.
Is that right?
You bet we did. Emma and me went through our checkbook, and guess what?
Yes, sir.
You say 7, me and Emma say 14.
Well, how do you mean, sir?
14, that's how it come for you.
Well, how do you mean 14?
Well, the bank's only found 7 of them, but he actually stole 14 of our business checks.
Well, you say you found that out after looking at your checkbook?
Yes, sir. Got the figures right here in my vest pocket. Let's see here. Numbers 7,020 to 7,033 inclusive. That makes 14 checks missing all told.
Well, how do you think the theft occurred, sir?
You stole them right out of the back part of the checkbook. Didn't think nobody'd find that out.
No, sir. What we mean is, how did the thief gain access to your checks? Do you leave them out in the open where people could get at them?
Well, they're in a plain black-covered book. Emma always makes out the checks most of the time. When she's through, she generally leaves them down underneath the counter in with a size 12 paper bags. That way we always know where to find it. You know, a place for everything, so on.
Mm-hmm. About when do you think the theft occurred, would you know?
Well, it'll be kind of hard to tell as to the exact time.
Well, when did you say you and your wife first noticed they were missing?
This morning, right after we talked to the bank man. That's when I got the idea to go through the checkbook. My wife didn't think so much of the idea, but she found out I was right.
Well, would you have any idea at all as to who might have taken the checks? Anyone suspicious loitering around your store or anything like that?
No, I don't believe so. Em and I know most of the people around our neighborhood. But I wouldn't think any of those folks would do a thing like this.
Well, how about some transients? Somebody might have come in the store that you never saw before?
No, nobody I can recall.
You live in the back of the store, Mr. Miller?
Yeah, how'd you guess that? Say, you fellas are real good.
I was just wondering, sir, would it be possible somebody could have broken in during the night?
No, sir, not a chance. No, we could have told that.
Well, how about when you and your wife have lunch? Is it possible that you might leave the store unattended for short periods while both of you are in the back, maybe?
Say, that's right. You ever run a store?
No, sir.
Hey, George, that just could have happened, all right. Me and Emma lots of times duck in the back and sit down and grab a bite of lunch or a little cut of Tillamook cheese on a cracker, you know.
Yes, sir.
Hey, George, I'll bet that's what it could have happened, all right.
And do you figure the checks were taken in the last month, or about when, would you say?
Well, let's see. Must have been sometime during the last couple of weeks, if memory serves. That's about when we received our new checkbooks. Last couple of weeks. That must be it.
I see. Well, we want you to give the stenographer a full report of this, sir.
Here, Frank, I got the approval slip all made out. Now, if you'll be kind enough to take this slip down to room 23, the stenographer will take your report.
Oh, thank you very much.
We appreciate you coming in, Mr. Miller. We'll keep you informed of the developments of the case. Here's our card. If you hear anything, appreciate you giving us a call.
Well, fine. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
You say you'll keep me informed of what happens on this thing?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Say, maybe you better talk to Emma when you call the store. That's my wife.
Well, yes, sir. Won't you be there?
Oh, I'll be there all right, but she'd like to have you call her.
Well, how's that, sir?
Well, it's about them other missing checks.
Yes, sir.
I told you it was my idea.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was hers.
9:30 a.m. Martin Miller went down the hall to make his report. Frank and I checked the name Roger Theodore through our files and also through R&I, but there was no record on him. 10:02 a.m. We checked with the head cashier at the bank where Miller had his checking account. The cashier was unable to let us see the forged checks, explaining that they'd been sent back to the people who had deposited them. However, he was able to give us a list of the firms that had taken in the bad checks. They were all large supermarkets in the central Hollywood area. He told us that the checks had varied in amount from $32.50 up to $78.97, and that each check was made out to a Roger G. Theodore, with the endorsement on the back of the check also by Theodore. 11:25 a.m. Frank and I drove out to a market at the corner of Franklin and Yucca. It was a big place with fruit stands along the front and large signs saying, "We never close."
Where do you think we find the manager?
Probably in the back there. These places, most of them work on one of the check stands, don't they?
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Look at those Concord grapes. You ever seen so big? Sweet, too, I bet.
Yeah.
You ever figure out some way to grow them without seeds? They got it made.
Yeah.
The seeds always get stuck in my teeth. That the manager back there unpacking those cans, see, with a badge?
Yeah, that's right. Pardon me. Are you the manager here?
Yeah, something I can do for you?
Yes, sir. Police officers. My partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
How do you do? My name's Giles, Smithy Giles.
We'd like to talk to you about that check you cashed for Roger Theodore.
Theodore?
Yes, sir. Now, according to the bank, you cashed a check last Saturday for $64.89 for a Roger Theodore. The check was drawn on the account of a Martin Miller.
Yeah, I remember now. You catch the bum? No, sir, not yet. We'd just like to ask you some questions. Sure. You don't mind if I go ahead with this stuff, do you? I got to get these cans stowed.
No, sir. Go ahead. Well, who cashed the check for you? Do you remember that?
Sure, I remember. Me. At least I okayed it. One of the cashiers called me over, said this guy wanted to cash a check and would I okay it. I did. Can you describe the man? Sure can. When that check came back from the bank, I got to thinking about the crummy deal, remembered almost every word of the conversation. Of all the lousy snow jobs, that no-good bum really dished out a Lulu.
Yes, sir. How tall would you say the man was?
Maybe 5'10", 11, about 160 pounds. Said he worked for this grocery store, this Marty's...
Marty's Mart.
Yeah, that's it. Said he worked down there. We talked about the grocery business. He told me how he wanted to start a place of his own. Tired of working for somebody else. Lousy trick.
Can you give us a further description of him, sir?
Well, he was dark. Real dark, black, wavy hair. His eyes were almost solid black. Nice-looking kid. How old did you say he was, sir? 30, 31. Hard to tell. He was the kind of a guy who don't show his age too much.
Do you remember what time he came into the store?
Yeah, it was right after I announced the sale of day-old bread on the PA. That'd make it about 8:30 or 8:40. I always try to make it then so we won't be stuck with a lot of bread the next day. You know, get it off the shelves. It's not really a day old, but by the time these women get through squeezing it, it sure looks like it's been on the shelves a long time.
Well, are you in the habit of cashing checks here often, sir?
We never cash personal checks. Get stuck too often. We will cash payroll checks if a guy's got identification.
Theodore have identification?
Sure, had his driver's license.
Do you have the check now, sir?
Yeah, it's in the back. You want to see it?
Yes, sir. I'd like to if we can.
Sure thing. Hold on a minute. I'll get it for you.
All right. Driver's license might lead to something, huh?
Yeah, doesn't figure to use his real name, though.
Here it is. You see right here in the corner the driver's license number, W414626.
What was that again?
W414626. No, 26.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, see that, sir?
Yeah, here.
Thanks. There's an endorsement on the back.
Like I said, I hope you catch a crummy bum. The dirtiest trick ever played.
Yes.
Comes in here, buys a pound of weenies, 52 cents on special, and a kosher dill. Grand total, 61 cents. Lousy deal.
Yes, sir. I wonder if we could take this check with us. We'd like to have our handwriting man get a look at it.
Sure, anything to catch that no good bum. Spends 61 cents and cons me into cashing his check for $64.89. It's not the weenies of the pickle that gripe me.
No, sir.
The thought of that guy spending $63 of my money someplace else.
Frank and I called the office and asked them to check with DMV for a make on the number of the driver's license that we'd found written on the check. 11:55 a.m., we began to canvass the other 6 stores where Theodore had passed bad checks. In each instance, the descriptions we were able to obtain varied little. All of the managers of the stores had described him as a dark man in his early 30s. In checking with the managers further, we found that all of the checks had been passed within a period of an hour and a half. From the addresses of the stores, we could almost trace the exact route the forger had taken in making his rounds. The victims all gave us the same story, that Theodore had made a small purchase, talked about the grocery business, and used his driver's license as identification to cash the check. 2:14 p.m., we checked back into the office. The teletype had come through from DMV up in Sacramento giving the particulars on the driver's license. The license was made out to a Roger George Theodore, 1082 Whitley Street, Hollywood. The description on the license, however, did not tally with the one that we'd gotten from the victims of the forgeries. We asked DMV to send a photostat of Theodore's license to us for handwriting comparison with the forged checks that we'd been able to collect. The stats office made a run for us on Theodore's M.O. The names that they gave us were checked out but led us nowhere. 4:47 p.m., Frank and I drove out to the address listed on Theodore's driver's license. It was a large brick apartment building with a white marble entrance. We didn't find the suspect's name in the mailboxes, so we rang the bell to the manager's apartment.
Yes.
Mrs. Rice?
That's right. Something I can do for you.
Police officers, ma'am. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
Police officers? Well, what's going on? Is something wrong?
No, Mrs. Rice. Just some routine questions about one of your tenants.
Oh. Well, in that case, come in.
Thank you very much.
If you're police officers, I suppose you have some sort of identification.
Yes, ma'am, we do. Here's my ID card. My name's Joe Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Dear, I'm Violet Wright. Oh, but then you know that. Can't be too careful these days. Oh, what's it you wanted to know about? I know almost all of my tenants here. They all know me, too. Call them by their first names, and they call me Violet. I don't like formality. I never could stand it. Oh, speaking of stand, move that sewing onto the floor and sit down, young man.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Well, this is about Roger Theodore, Mrs. Rice.
Roger? Oh, yes. Well, what did you want to know about him? Him and his wife and me used to be great friends. Roger was a cartoonist, you know, worked for one of the studios in the valley. Pictures he used to draw, just beautiful. I have some of them if you'd like to see them.
No, ma'am, not right now. We'd just like to know if Mr. Theodore lives here.
No, his wife moved out about 6 months ago. I'd have to get the rent receipts to be sure, but I think it was about 6 months ago. Moved down at the beach. Took it pretty hard, you know.
Ma'am?
He took it pretty hard. Mrs. Theodore was so sudden.
What's that, Mrs. Rice?
When Roger died 6 months ago.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack, carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
The apartment house manager, Mrs. Rice, went on to tell us that Roger Theodore had caught a bad cold and that it had developed into pneumonia. She told us that his death had been very sudden and that his passing had hit his wife very hard. We questioned her about the other tenants in the building who were friendly with the Theodores, but she was able to add little information to what we already had. The description she gave us of Theodore matched the one we'd gotten from DMV up in Sacramento, but bore little resemblance to the one we'd obtained from the supermarket managers. She gave us the address of Mrs. Theodore's beach house. 7:12 p.m., Frank and I drove up to the residence, a small white house built out over the sand. The paint was peeling off of the shutters, and a window box in front was full of dead geraniums. Mrs. Theodore was a tall woman in her late 20s. She asked us in, and we talked to her. She kept looking at the clock over the fireplace.
What time have you got, Sergeant?
7:18, Miss Theodore.
Seemed it was earlier than that. Now, what was it you were asking about Roger?
Well, we were wondering if you could tell us how his driver's license could have been used as identification by someone else, ma'am.
No, I haven't the slightest idea.
Do you have his private papers, Mrs. Theodore?
Yes, most of them. They're in a strong box at the bank in town.
Would his driver's license be among those papers, perhaps?
I don't remember. I think so, but I can't be sure. It seems to me that I put them in the box. Just a minute.
All right, fine.
Just happened to think it might be in here. I put some of his things in here. Papers I didn't think were too important.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's his draft card, club membership card, and his personal business card. See, he drew a caricature of himself. He was very clever about things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
It's to me that I've seen his license someplace. No, it's not here.
Well, where did Mr. Theodore keep the license, ma'am?
He used to keep it out in the glove compartment of the car. Of course, I knew I'd seen it just a few days ago. It's in the glove compartment. That's where it is.
I wonder if we might see it, ma'am.
Surely. What time have you got, Sergeant?
At 7:20?
Thank you. It's turning cold all of a sudden.
Yes, ma'am. Fog's coming in.
We usually have it this time of year. Days have been so nice. Warm. That's funny.
What's that, ma'am?
I was sure it was here. Saw it just the other day. Now it's gone. And the other things, too.
Gone, ma'am?
Yes, the driver's license and his Social Security card. They were both in a little celluloid folder. Kept them together in here. It's funny.
Was it possible that you might have taken them out of the car?
No, I have no reason to. I hardly ever use the glove compartment. No, I'm sure they were here.
Well, maybe you picked something else up and the license came with it?
Maybe. Look through my purses. I might have picked them up.
Okay, fine.
I'll warm up a little. I'll build a fire tonight. Understand where that license might have gone. Have to ask Lloyd.
Lloyd?
Yes, I met him a few weeks ago on the beach. He came down to swim. We got to be very good friends. Kind of half expecting him to call tonight, but he would have called before this if he's going to. I'll get my purse.
Fine, thank you.
I'm sure, though, it was in the glove compartment the last time I saw it. Lloyd might have seen it when he borrowed the car.
He borrowed your car?
Yeah, last week. He said he was having his overhauled. I wasn't using mine, so I told him to take it. Very nice. Are you sure your watch is right, Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am. What day was it Lloyd took your car?
Last Friday or Saturday, one or the other. Nope, it's not here. I just don't know where it could have gone.
What does this Lloyd look like, Mrs. Theodore?
Boy, he's a nice-looking boy. Dark hair, dark eyes. Nice-looking boy.
About how old is he, ma'am?
Well, I never asked. I'd guess 30, 31.
Lloyd. Well, what's his last name, ma'am?
Stratton. Lloyd Stratton. Why are you asking all these questions about him? Has he done something? Is that it?
Well, we don't know, ma'am. Do you know where he lives?
Someplace in Hollywood. I don't know the number. He hasn't got a phone. I called information once. They didn't have a listing.
When was the last time you saw him, ma'am?
Monday. He came down to take a swim, and we talked. He must be mistaken, officers. He couldn't do anything dishonest, I know. But the last time he was here, he was a little short of cash. I offered him $50 to tide him over. He didn't want to take it, but I insisted. I didn't have enough to do it.
What's that, ma'am?
He wanted me to cash his payroll check.
We questioned Mrs. Theodore further, but she couldn't add anything to what she'd already told us. She was unable to give us the names of any of Stratton's friends, his relatives, or tell us where he might be employed. 7:46 p.m. Frank and I drove back to the office. We ran the name and description of Lloyd Stratton through R&I. They came up with several possible suspects. In the process of elimination, we were left with one name, Lloyd Stimpson, who had as one of many aliases the name Lloyd Stratton. His description tallied closely with the ones we'd gotten from the victims of the forgeries. His record showed him to be a two-time loser on parole from San Quentin at the present time. He'd been convicted both times for forgery. In checking the suspect's handwriting card, Don Meyer was able to tell us that the writing on the checks and the exemplars of the suspects were the same. We obtained mugshots of the suspect and drove out to check them with the victims. 9:22 p.m. We got to the market at the corner of Franklin and Yucca Streets, the manager's office.
Mr. Giles?
Yes?
Oh, you're the officers who were here this morning. You caught the guy yet, the one who forged that check?
No, sir, not yet. We'd like you to look at some pictures, if you would.
Of the guy? You got pictures of him? Figures if you had pictures of him, you'd catch him.
Well, we think we know who he is, Mr. Giles, but we'd like you to check these pictures just to be sure.
Fine, glad to help. Kind of get that bum.
Yes, sir. Here are the pictures, Mr. Giles.
Good. Hey, sit down here and get this stuff off my desk.
All right, fine. Now, just look through some of them, sir, and see if the man is there, if you would.
Yeah. Spread them out here. All right, playing solitaire. Look at that one. Mean-looking fellow, real criminal type. No, that's not him. No. Wait a minute.
Yes, sir?
This one. Right here. He's the guy. He's the one who cashed the check.
You sure, Mr. Giles?
I'm positive. That's him.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
It's all right, officers. Glad to help. This fella, Theodore.
His real name's Stimpson, Lloyd Stimpson.
Yeah, well, this Stimpson, he done this sort of thing before?
Sir?
Forged checks.
Well, yes, sir. He's been convicted twice.
How about that? Lousy thing. I wonder what he tells his friends when they ask.
What's that?
About his work. Probably tells them he writes for a living.
We checked with the other victims of the forgeries. We were able to get 3 more identifications of the suspect. The rest of the people involved couldn't be reached at the time. We contacted the suspect's parole officer, and he gave us his last known address, and he said that he'd give us whatever assistance he could in apprehending Stimpson, alias Stratton. In checking the address furnished by the parole officer, we found that the suspect had moved a week before and left no forwarding address. A local and an all-points bulletin was gotten out on Stratton. There were still 7 checks to be accounted for, and none of these had been reported to us as having been forged and passed. In addition to the local and the APB, we got out a special circular giving the description of the suspect, his picture, and a sample of the forged check. It was distributed to all supermarkets and check-cashing agencies in the area. We requested that if the suspect attempted to cash one of the checks, forgery detail be notified at once, and, if possible, that he be delayed until we could pick him up. Since none of the checks had been reported since the previous Saturday night, it looked like the suspect might be waiting until the coming weekend to get rid of the other checks he had in his possession. During the following 3 days, we ran down several leads on the suspect, but none of them panned out. Saturday, July 26, 8:40 p.m. I got back to the office after seeing the one remaining victim.
That you, Joe?
Yeah. I just checked that place out on Melrose.
They're making?
Yeah. Said Stratton was the guy that hung the paper on them last week.
Well, that's it then. All 7 of them check out.
Yeah. All the managers said they were positive. None of them had any doubt. Oh, it's hot out.
Yeah, hot and muggy.
Let's not go into that again, huh? Any word?
No, Joe. Everything's quiet.
If we figured it right, Stratton should make a try tonight, huh?
Figures he will, but I don't know, Joe.
Yeah?
Maybe he's figured the deal. Maybe he'd plan to hit them all one weekend, then leave town.
It's possible. If he got away with it once, chances are he'll try it again. I'll get it. Forgery Friday. Yes, sir? Where? Yes, sir. What was that address again? Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. We'll be right out. All right, let's hustle it. Mark it out on Primrose.
Stratton?
Yeah, he's there now. The call had come from a large supermarket in the Hollywood area. From what the clerk had said on the phone, Stratton had made several purchases and then tried to cash a payroll check drawn on Marty's mark. The clerk had recognized him immediately and called us. When we walked into the market, one of the clerks motioned to us from a front counter.
Over there, Joe.
Yeah, there's no one at the stand.
Maybe he wouldn't wait.
You the cops? I made the call.
Yes, sir. We're police officers. Where is he?
Back there by counter 25. When I told him it'd be a few minutes before I get the check okayed, he said he'd look around. Maybe find something else he wanted.
Do you have the check?
Yes, sir, right here. You can see it's the same kind as the one on the circuit.
Yes, okay, sir. Thank you.
There won't be any trouble. Getting him out of here.
Well, that depends on him.
I'll go around the counter, come up from the back.
All right. Mr. Theodore?
Hmm?
You Roger Theodore?
Yes, you the manager here? I don't see what the problem is. It's a payroll check. If you don't want the business, there are other stores I can go to.
No, police officer, Mr. Stratton. I want to talk to you.
Certainly, but there's some mistake. My name's not Stratton, it's Roger Theater.
No mistake, mister. Let's go.
No.
Watch it, Joe. All right, hold it up, Stratton. Watch that cart, Joe. Outside. Get in the car, Joe. All right, hold it up, Stratton. Stay where you are. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. I won't try anything. Don't shoot.
All right, out of the car, mister.
I'll shake him.
What's this all about? What are you trying to prove?
He's clean, Joe. Hands behind your back.
Want to check the car, Frank?
Yeah.
You won't find anything. There's nothing to find. A few groceries, that's all. Must be some kind of mistake.
No, I don't think so, Stratton. Frank, what do you got?
Looks clean, Joe. Just checking the seat covers.
You sure you got the right guy? You keep calling me Stratton. I told you my name's Theodore. Look, get my driver's license out of my pocket. It'll tell you who I am.
All right, let's come off it. We know who you are. We got your record and a dozen people to identify you.
Joe?
Yeah.
Found these under the seat covers in the back. Checks from Marty's Mart.
So what? No law against having a few blank checks, is there?
Only when you try to cash them.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 21st, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere. In Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness and a really different flavor and aroma. That's right. Fatimas are distinctive. In king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack.
Lloyd Harold Stimson, alias Lloyd Stratton, was tried and convicted of 7 counts of forgery. He is now serving his term in the state penitentiary. Forgery is punishable by imprisonment for a period of not less than 1, nor more than 14 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, lightning starts a few forest fires every year. But careless people cause many, many more. This shameful waste of one of our greatest natural resources weakens America. This holiday weekend, if you picnic or camp out, please be careful with fire. Be very sure your campfire is really out before you leave it. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, Cliff Arquette, Virginia Gregg. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Friday, hear the Mario Lanza Show over NBC.
My name's Jeff Regan. I get 10 a day in expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Lyon. Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Jack Webb as Jeff Regan, Investigator. Stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of Cain and Abel and the Santa Maria.
This is the way it started. It was one of those cold, clammy mornings that the Chamber of Commerce doesn't like to have in print. I was in my place working on a 4-minute egg that tasted like a boiled golf ball when the phone began bouncing. I let it ring a while, and I got to thinking that it might be an old-fashioned girl who knew how to cook. It was the Lion. Hello, Regan talking.
This is me. I've been working all morning.
I'll buy you a time clock. Get to the point.
This is our lucky day. I just talked to Dun & Bradstreet.
How are they?
Now, don't be funny. We got a new client, and they tell me when the Treasury Department gets in trouble, they come to him.
Yeah?
The guy's name is Abel Roderick. Got a special from him an hour ago. He asked for a man, and I'm sending you, Regan.
You're sending me where?
His ranch. He raises horses.
Horses don't talk. What's bothering him?
Maybe it's his wife. Tell me she's got a pair of legs she'll never forget. He just said he wanted an operator out there by 12 o'clock.
You never learn, do you?
This means no.
What else does it mean?
We'll go as far as homicide and arson when they got pockets as long as his.
Money all you ever think about?
Yeah, you learn something when you're as old as I am. That's all there is to think about.
Well, then get yourself another boy and start teaching him. I don't learn easy.
Now, just a minute. That's no attitude.
Taking somebody's check before you know who's who and what's what means trouble.
Jeffrey, please. You misunderstand me. I wouldn't jeopardize your bond or the good reputation of International by accepting an unreliable client.
Look, last week that guy had a record longer than a roll of ticker tape.
I've been with Harry Presidio all morning. He knows Abel Roderick.
Yeah.
He's the grandson of Gallant Roderick. Name used to be Rodriguez. One of our finest old California families. Jeffrey, he's a gentleman like yourself.
Oh, that's nice.
He needs our assistance. Well?
All right, where is it?
In and route between here and Santa Ana. Take Firestone.
Yeah?
Now, you run out there and see what Mr. Roderick wants. And, Jeffrey.
I know.
Call me, Jeffrey. Call me if you run into any trouble.
Well, when the Lion hung up, he sounded as happy as a chorus girl with a new mink coat. Well, he's a smart guy, I guess, but he uses check stubs for a telephone directory. Well, the home of Abel Roderick wasn't too hard to find. All I had to do was to get out on the highway and look for a hill. That's where it was. One of those old Spanish-type places with a block of porches, windows, and lots of iron grill work. 20 years ago, it might have rated the good home section, but now you couldn't tell where the grass stopped and the weeds began. It's kind of used up and sad, like a derby winner with a broken leg. A tall blonde guy, about 30, in a black polo shirt, was stretched out on a beach chair in the front porch. He pulled off his dark glasses and watched me get out of the car and come up the steps. Then he gave me one of those looks, like he was already tired of knowing me.
We don't want any.
How do you know?
We never want anything. Go away.
I'm here to see Abel Roderick. You him?
No.
But he lives here, doesn't he?
Yes. Who are you?
My name's Regan.
So?
I want to see him.
Go ahead. See him.
Everybody as nice as you.
Oh, I got a merit badge for being the nicest. What did you say your name was?
Regan.
What did you say you wanted to see him about?
I didn't say.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's too hot to play games, so I'll tell you. I don't like you and he won't like you.
Well, now, what am I supposed to do? Roll down the stairs?
It might help, baby.
Well, where'd you find him, Cain?
Janie, this is Mr. Regan. He came to see your husband. I guess he has business with him.
Hello, Mr. Regan. Is Abel expecting you?
At 12.
You're 10 minutes late.
Well, I'm still trying to see him.
He's in the study. Come on.
I'll see you later, Regan.
I thought I knew all of Abel's business acquaintances, but I don't remember you.
Oh, no, I'm a new one.
And what do you do?
A lot of things.
You're very interesting, Mr. Regan.
Mm-hmm.
Will you be coming here often?
I don't know.
I hope so.
You keep your husband in a vault?
I'd like to. You're cute. Here we are. This is Abel's study. I guess he stepped out for a moment. Would a drink take off the rough edges?
Might.
Good. I'll make you one.
Okay. Where are the horses?
Horses? We gave that up a long time ago. We've given up a lot of things, Mr. Regan. Let's not worry about that. Where's the check?
Thanks. That blonde boy out on the porch doesn't like me.
Okay. He doesn't like anybody. But let's not worry about him either.
You're crowding me.
Don't you like to be crowded?
All depends on whose wife is doing it.
You're worried about Abel?
I'm drinking his whiskey.
I've never had any complaints.
I don't see why you should.
What kind of a nasty crack is that?
You figure it, lady.
Mr. Nobody talks to little Jamie like that.
Hello, my dear. Introduce me to our visitor.
Oh, Abel. This is Mr. Regan, darling. He says he has business with you.
Regan? Oh, Regan. Yes, of course. How do you do, Mr. Regan? I'm Abel Roderick.
How are you?
I see Janie's made you comfortable with a drink, so we can get right down to business. Oh, Janie, my dear, why don't you ask Cain if he'd like to play some tennis?
You're not very subtle, darling, but I was just leaving.
That's a good girl.
I hope to see you again.
Don't let her worry you, Regan. It's an act.
Do I look worried?
She's lovely, and if you're young and tall and Janie's around, she adopts you.
I wasn't an orphan.
She'll be sulky all day now. Well, thanks for coming out. I hope you can help me.
Well, so far, I don't even know who's on the team.
A man in my alleged position is quite often the object of subterfuge. You can understand that.
Well, you mean because you got money, yeah.
To be quite frank, I have no money, Mr. Regan.
That's going to come as a shock to somebody I know.
Who?
Never mind. Go on.
It's my grandfather, Gallant Roderick. He controls all of the wealth in this family.
You his front man?
The eldest son of a son. And I live in this deplorable old shack waiting for grandfather to die.
How long you been waiting?
Too long, Mr. Regan. But I'm past 40 now. I don't know how to do anything else, so I continue to wait. Along with my devoted brother, Cain, who has the same thing to look forward to.
Yeah, I met him.
If you think he's bad, you should meet my grandfather. He fitted us with these charming names, Cain and Abel.
Well, what's all this got to do with me?
Here. Look at these.
Mm-hmm.
2 little ships of silver. Perfect replicas of the Pinta and Nina, named after Columbus's fleet.
Yeah, you can't buy stuff like that anymore. Not even on a time plane.
Hardly. 20 years' work on the part of an ancient silversmith in Madrid. And a prized possession of the Rodriguez family for 7 generations. My great-great-great-grandmother wore them on her wedding dress.
Where's the other one?
You've guessed it, Mr. Regan. The Santa Maria is missing. Janie wore it to Ciro's night before last.
Did she lose it?
Nothing so simple. It was stolen.
How?
Oh, she was with Cain. It was late when they got back. A masked man stopped their car on the turnoff. According to Janie, he was very polite, merely removed the Santa Maria, took nothing else.
What about Cain?
He was passed out. Janie was driving. Regan, the usual thing is for me to get a telephone call and have an opportunity to buy it back. Isn't that right?
Well, a heist job usually works that way, yeah.
Well, I haven't been contacted. I'm getting worried.
What does your insurance company say?
My grandfather owns the insurance company. I've told no one but you.
You don't want him to know about it, huh?
Well, he might cut me off if he thinks I've been careless. Well, what do you advise me to do?
Wait for that phone call and buy it back.
I'm willing to buy it back, but the truth of the matter is grandfather will be in from the east this week. And the first thing he does when he comes out here is ask to see those ships.
Well, now, look, whoever pulled the job couldn't unload a thing like that without being caught. And if he melted it down, he'd be lucky to get $50. He's as bad off as you are.
Do you think you could hurry it up?
Well, I know a couple of people.
Then you'll try and contact them for me.
I'll do what I can.
Oh, thank you, Regan. Now we just sit back and wait for my ship to come in. Bad joke, huh?
I left him sitting there in that big room. He looked about as happy as a St. Bernard with a stomachache. Well, he'd have probably felt worse if he'd have been outside on the porch, Janie was there with his brother, only they didn't hear me. Well, maybe they were just checking each other for broken ribs. I didn't bother to ask. Out on the highway, about a mile from the place, a 49 Nash picked me up. I turned off a couple of times on those little roads to make sure, but he stuck with me. Once he got real close, but he was wearing dark glasses and a straw hat, and could have been Whistler's mother for all I knew. When I pulled into the lot by our building about 3 o'clock, he drifted along with the Broadway traffic. I took his license number, and then I backed out and drove over to 3500 Hope Street.
So I said, wait till I go see my friend Moriarty.
Okay, buddy, well, let's see.
I want to trace a license number.
Accident?
No.
Good day, man. Skyway to 11.
Thanks.
Next.
I want to know who's registered for these plates right here.
4E7542. This year?
Yeah. I'm a private detective. I think it might be connected with a case.
Yeah. Makes you think that.
Well, the car followed me this afternoon.
Yeah.
Just tell me who owns it, will you?
Then what?
Well, then I'm going to write you a letter.
I don't collect stamps.
You worked here too long, lady.
You telling me. 6 years I collected fines A through G. Now I'm doing this. Thanks, huh?
Who does the car belong to?
I gotta look. A lot of cars in Los Angeles. Thousands of cars. Mad Month would blow his brains out if he knew just how many cars there really are around this town. Well, Ruby DeRoy knows, mister, and don't you forget it. 4E7542 belongs to a guy named Richard I. Chambers.
Address?
Hotel De Soto.
Thanks.
Come back anytime, doll. Glad to help you out.
The name Richard I. Chambers meant about as much to me as a shipload of stale bread, but it didn't take 20/20 vision to see that there was a connection. And the whole thing was phony. It was like cutting your leg off to cure your bunions. Well, I went back to the office and checked with the lion.
Okay, Regan, give it to me.
It's a heist, one of the family heirlooms.
Into our meat. When was it lifted?
2 nights ago.
Any contacts yet?
No, none. That's why it's screwy.
What do you mean, screwy?
Well, it was a little silver ship called the Santa Maria. Now, they'd have to sell it back to Roderick or go on release.
Where does that leave us?
With another bum case.
Now, don't say a thing like that.
Well, your dope on Roderick was secondhand.
Tell me.
His grandfather keeps the keys.
How do you know?
Roderick said so.
You shouldn't let out family secrets. Now, you let me worry about that. Just find his little ship.
Yeah.
Guy called a half hour ago, left the number for you.
Chambers?
Yeah, who told you?
Who did?
Want you to phone him.
Never mind, skip that. I know where to get him. Things began to move. That meant that all the cards were out and somebody was asking for bets. Over at the DeSoto Hotel, the clerk told me that 305 belonged to Chambers. He was a little guy, about a head shorter than Margaret O'Brien. He shoved 3 inches of nose out at me through a crack in the door.
All I left went for you to phone.
You, Chambers?
I was having a beauty nap. Come back in an hour.
Yeah, you need it.
Look out. Hey, what is this? Oh, tough guy, yeah? All right, you're tough. I think you're a bum.
All right, simmer down, Junior. You'll never make Eagle Scout.
Oh, you're so good. I gotta take that from you, huh?
We're gonna talk.
What makes you think so?
Everybody's grown up now.
Dickie Chambers talks when he feels like talking.
All right, Squirt, have it your way.
Hey, that kind of stuff ain't going to get you nothing, Regan.
Your weight's up, Dickie. You got a different job now.
Says you're a bum.
You tell me today.
Ask your mother.
What you want me to phone about?
Wrong track, Gumshoe. The 2 buck windows downstairs.
You're in this somewhere, and I want to know where.
You through being tough, Regan?
No. I'll let the boys in the personnel division handle you.
What do you mean?
That shiv on your dress is about an inch too long to be legal.
Call him. See where it gets you.
I'll send you a nickel later.
Okay, I'll open. Just that I don't like to get shoved around, that's all.
Why didn't you figure that before you got tangled up?
On your contact.
All right, come on. Let's put the show on the road. How much does it cost?
$5,000 and 10s and 20s.
Go on.
Tonight, 10 o'clock. You come with him.
Where?
Mile this side of Santa Ana Airport. Little road turns left off 101. Drive 2 miles and park.
And then what?
Well, if you got the $5,000, you don't try anything funny. He gets his little silver ship back.
That it?
That's it, people. Happy?
See you later, Dickie.
Oh, I'm checking out tomorrow.
Hey, look, Buster, you aren't any heist man. They come smoother. What's your angle?
Maybe I love jewelry. Do you care if maybe I love jewelry?
I don't. A guy like you's got to love something. called Roderick and told him what I'd found out. He sounded relieved, like he'd been underwater for a long time or just coming up for air. He said he'd get the cash, and I made arrangements to meet him at his place later on. Then I called the line and told him. After that, I stopped off at a place on Wilshire, and I ran up a tab watching a skinny guy trying to make a piano sound like a symphony orchestra. Well, I had some steak and potatoes, and then I drove back out to Roderick's place. It was about 9 o'clock when I got there, and the same people were on the front porch doing the same thing. I remembered what the lion had said about those legs of hers.
Oh, Joe.
Having fun?
Oh, Regan, huh? I thought I told you we didn't want any.
That was 8 hours ago.
We still don't want any.
I'm still here to see your brother.
Small business?
Something like that.
I don't like you any more now than I did this morning, and I hated you then.
Yeah, well, I'm going to cry about that when I get home.
You're pretty smart, aren't you, Regan?
Cain, please be careful.
He's awful smart.
Cain.
Let me go.
Yeah, let him go, lady. I'll give him back.
Now, I'll show you trying to spy on people, huh? I'm going to give you something, people.
He's been drinking. Now, look out.
Look out, nothing. Go on. Oh!
Well, I guess he deserved that. He's nasty when he works at it.
How was the other time?
There aren't any other times.
Too bad.
Maybe he'll be different when he wakes up. What do you mean about the liquor?
Give it.
He's getting the wrong idea about everything.
What do you care?
I was a hat check girl in a cheap nightclub.
What's going on out here, Janie? Oh, Regan, you're here. What was he acting up about tonight?
Mr. Regan.
Well, it doesn't make any difference. Take care of him, will you, Janie?
Of course, Abel.
That's a good girl, Janie. You all ready, Regan?
You got it?
All set. I'll be home early, Janie. Come on, Regan, let's go.
Well, we climbed in my car. We drove to the place Dickie Chambers told me about. It wasn't hard to find. It was a flat dirt road to the edge of the airport. We clicked off 2 miles on the speedometer, then we switched off our lights and parked. It was dark and quiet there, like the inside of an empty barrel. Roderick didn't have much to say. He just sat there chewing on a cigar and looking at nothing. He was real good at waiting. I looked at my watch about 3 minutes to 10, then I saw the headlights of another car coming down the road from a long way off. Roderick nodded his head, and I began to have a feeling like I was standing on top of the trap, and the warden had just smiled at the hangman.
That must be ours, Regan. Do you think we should switch on our headlights? They may not see us.
Well, unless they got wings, they got to pass us.
They don't seem to be slowing down much, do they?
Well, get out of the car.
What?
Get out of the car.
Hey, what is
Don't
this?
talk. Move.
Oh, all right. What's got into you, Regan?
Come on.
Well, we can't just... Well, them think something's wrong.
Look, this is a packed deck. You're a ringer.
I'm not sure
Spun him around and he fell against the car. I pulled out my gun, but it didn't do any good. Whoever it was must have been in vaudeville. That was the fastest disappearing act since Houdini.
You are listening to the story of Cain and Abel and the Santa Maria, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. If you are a graduate nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, you may be eligible for a commission in the Regular Officers Reserve Army Nurse Corps. If you are eligible and meet the high standards to qualify to serve with this fine organization, you may elect active or inactive status. In addition to this privilege, they also have the opportunity to take advantage of special training courses. So if you believe that you qualify for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve, apply now to the Adjutant General's Office, Washington, D.C. That's the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now, back to the story of Cain and Abel and the Santa Maria and Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Well, there was enough loose lead around there to start a scrap drive. Whoever it was wanted to make real sure. My car was as full of holes as a canceled check. I found a .45 slug in the seat packing, and I piled Roderick inside, and I drove over to a motor court on the highway. An old lady with a dust mop or a head of hair registered us and complained about all the drunks there were in this world, and then When I got rid of her, I went out to the phone booth and gave the lion a ring. I woke him up.
It's 11 o'clock at night. What do you want?
I'm in a jam.
You're always in a jam. Tell me about it in the morning.
Look, I'm giving it to you right now.
You drunk?
I've been with your client trying to get that ship back.
How'd you do?
I got lead instead of silver.
What do you mean by that?
Somebody doesn't like Roderick.
Who is it?
I don't know. We got there for the buyback and somebody opened up.
They can't do that.
Well, they did.
Where's Roderick now?
With me. Get a doctor and come on over.
What?
He got in the way when they started the 4th of July.
Well, take him to a hospital.
Now, look, Fatso, he isn't hurt bad, but he needs help. You're always talking about money. Now, here's your chance to make some.
Yeah?
He'll give you a bonus if you keep him out of the papers.
I'll be there in half an hour.
Well, the lion showed up 20 minutes later. He had a long-faced guy with him who said he was a doctor. He looked more like an undertaker, but I didn't argue. I told the lion to keep Roderick there till I phoned back. Then I beat it over to the DeSoto Hotel. The door to 305 was open. Dickie Chambers had company, only he wasn't receiving. He was lying under his sheets. A fat guy in a wrinkled suit seemed to be running things.
Come on in, brother. I didn't know Dickie had any friends.
I guess he didn't.
Who are you?
I'm a guy who met him once. Who are you?
Ed Granger, constable. This is my territory. What's your name?
Regan, private investigator.
International?
Mm-hmm.
The Lion's Eye, huh? Know anything about this?
I talked to him this afternoon. He gave up riding horses for other things.
What kind of thing?
He was contact man on a heist job.
Yeah? Where do you come in?
I was hired. That's why I met Dickie.
Mind telling me by who?
It's a client, Ranger.
This is a murder. Okay, well, there we go for now.
When'd you find him?
A little while ago. Clerk called, said he heard shooting. I came down with the boys and found Dickie doing the long sleep. Happened less than an hour ago.
He's a tough little guy.
Well, them 45s don't know nothing about that.
45?
Big holes, chest and neck, close range. Corner's gonna lose 2 bits. He thinks it's a 38. Yeah.
Well, look, if it turns out big, try this one for a match here.
Oh, you've been playing games tonight?
Somebody gave it to me.
Connected?
Ballistics will tell you.
Anything else?
No.
What'd you come back for?
Talk to Dickie.
No good, huh?
No good. I should have asked him earlier.
We can get you through International.
Yeah.
Well, if you got anything, remember the name. Ed Granger.
He was peeking under that sheet looking at Chambers when I left. There was kind of a sad smile on his face, like somebody put gasoline in his thermos bottle. I drifted across the street for a package of cigarettes, and then I came back and climbed in my car thinking about the whole thing. I don't know how long I sat there in the car, but when I looked up, there was a shadow against the wall of the building. It was a good-looking shadow.
Doing your homework?
Yeah, I due for a diploma.
Congratulations. What would you like for a gift?
How about a little silver ship, huh?
Sorry, too expensive. Try again.
All right, give me a 45.
What would you do with that?
Give it to a cop named Granger.
Then what?
I go home and go to bed.
You haven't asked me what I'm doing here.
I know.
Cain?
Him, too?
He isn't so bad when you get to know him.
From where you're sitting, he must have wings.
Well, if it isn't the gum heel, you ready for a laugh?
What do we got, a comedy?
Take a look, Janie. Okay, bright boy, where is he?
You sober enough to shoot straight?
I took the pledge.
Before or after you came by us out on that road?
After, baby.
You don't smell like it.
Where is he?
Try my car trunk. I'm using him for ballast.
What did you do with him, Regan?
Cain, there's some people coming. Has he told you what he did with Abel?
Not yet.
You'll have to talk to him somewhere else.
Right, Angel. Okay, Regan, come on, get out. Hurry up. Now turn around.
Let me guess what's coming.
It's a trip to the moon. Sit tight, baby. Here you go. Oh!
I settled down to having a headache. Then the headache went someplace, and I had nothing. Oh, it was a nice play. Everybody was a quarterback, and everybody had the ball. I looked as good as a fat girl in a French bathing suit. It was some time later, maybe 10 years. I had a mouthful of brandy, and my throat was burning like an oil stacker. We were in Roderick's place. He was standing over me, holding a bottle in one hand and a 45 in the other.
Coming around. Got to work fast.
Don't worry, he'll talk. Feeling better, baby? Well, you're going to feel worse. Now sit up, baby. Come on, it's time to talk.
Now, wait a minute, Cain. Wait. Let me ask you. We're all alone here. No one's going to disturb us. And we'll find out anyhow. Why don't you tell us what you did with him?
I got a short memory. I forget things.
It's a shame to let Cain do this to you. I think you're pretty. Might not be able to stop him once you get started.
Well, it's your idea, lady. I'm along for the view.
Iron men went out with short skirts, but I guess you don't know it yet.
You look tough, brother, but you bruise easy.
You're already wearing striped pants. You mangled it when you tagged me tonight.
Think so? Tell me how.
All right. No one knew I was a detective but your brother. That meant you hired Dickie Chambers to find out.
So you know it. So what?
So you bumped Dickie when you thought it was finished.
Well, that makes you know I'm not kidding.
There's a constable named Granger.
Cain?
Relax, Angel, relax. Don't let him scare you. He hasn't told anything to anybody.
No?
No. If you did, we would have found him in a hospital. I saw him go down.
Are you sure?
Of course I am. Now all we got to do is find him. So let's get started. You talk now, huh? No? It's going to get worse, baby. You might have to write it later.
You got hold of a bad label.
Stop it. Now, stop it. This isn't getting us anything.
Yeah, but I'm having fun.
No, kill him.
Let go of my
Listen
arm.
to me. Now, we need him. We've got to find him in the car with Abel. It's ruined if you kill him. No
I
way.
said let go.
Oh.
Now, where were we, baby?
I got to stop.
Huh?
Stand away from him.
Are you crazy or something?
It will work fine if you could think. But you can't think. You're no good to me anymore.
Janie.
He shook all over a couple of times like he was saying no in a big way. And then he finally relaxed. She knelt down and took something out of his pocket. I tried to lift one of my arms, but I got about as far as I would trying to hook a whale with a salad fork. I must have looked real bad, because all of a sudden her eyes kind of lit up and she came over.
You've taken a lot of punishment, mister.
Yeah, not as much as you're going to take.
It's a matter of opinion. By the way, you didn't happen to be carrying that $5,000.
You looking for a stake?
Yeah? I'm going out prospecting.
Trip around the world?
Far enough to make some new connections. That's all a girl needs. Here's the little ship. You didn't do it for nothing.
You run out of bullets?
No. If they ever get me, I'll say justifiable homicide. He was trying to kill you. You're my witness. Oh, you are pretty. Take care of yourself. Goodbye.
Take care of yourself. Goodbye. That's all she said, and that was the last I ever saw of her. Well, it seems that Janie and Cain had figured to tag both of us out on that road, and it'd all be blamed on a phony heist gang. There was a lot of insurance they could have turned into ready cash, but I had a feeling that when I made Abel get out of that car that night, it'd ruin things for him. Jeannie and Cain thought that they could still do it if they could find him and get us together again. That's why he went to work on me. Cain already killed Dickie Chambers because he thought there might have been a double cross, and I guess he was kind of crazy by the time he got around to me. Well, anyway, about 3 months later, a detective sergeant down in Miami Beach spotted Janie one night working a hat stand in a nightclub. Everybody wondered how he could recognize her. She dyed her hair, and it really changed her appearance. But it figured. You see, the police folder had a picture of her in a bathing suit, and she couldn't change those legs.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A young man walks into your office and tells you that his best friend has been killed by unknown assailants. Your job? Investigate. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, August 9th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. It was 7:58 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. That you, Frank?
Yeah, morning, Joe.
Looks like it's going to be a scorcher today, doesn't it?
Yeah, nice and clear.
How'd the weekend go?
Lousy.
Why? What do you mean?
Oh, Faye and me had a ruckus Saturday night.
Oh, that's so?
Yeah, it happens every time we have somebody over for dinner. Never fails.
Yeah.
And she gets to yakking it up with the company. We never eat till 10:30. It's a miserable time for dinner.
Yeah, it's pretty late at that.
Saturday night we had the Johnsons over. Going to play a little cards, have a little dinner. You know, relax.
Mm-hmm.
Wife fixed Swedish meatballs. They're on the stove. Everything's dandy. She gets to talking. We finally sit down to eat. It's 10:15. Meatballs are burned.
Yeah.
Well, that time we were all so hungry we lost our appetite. It was real embarrassing, Joe. We finally sat down. I figured I'd let Faye know I was pretty sore. But I didn't want to come right out and tell her in front of the Johnsons, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
So I picked up one of the meatballs that was burned. Said she'd invented something new. Everybody else used chlorophyll for their teeth, but we had built-in charcoal.
Yeah. Well, what'd she say?
Nothing. Just a look. Hasn't said a word to me since. Sends the kids with messages for me. It's pretty miserable.
She'll probably be over when you get home tonight.
Pardon me.
Yes, sir?
Is the homicide department where you report a murder?
Yes, sir, that's right.
You the fellas I talked to about a murder?
Yes, sir. Come on in. Sit down. Take that chair over there.
Thought I'd never make it.
Are you all right?
Yeah, now that I'm here, it's all right.
Your face is pretty badly cut there. Those bruises, scratches on your throat. You sure you're all right now?
Yeah, I'm all right. I never thought I'd get here. Times I was ready to quit, but then I'd think of Kevin, what they did to him, and I had to keep walking. I had to. For Kevin, I had to.
Well, everything's all right now. You can tell us about it.
I don't know where to start.
What's your name, young fella?
Bruce Hamilton.
All right, Bruce. I'm Joe Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Hello, Bruce.
Oh.
Well, we know that you must have been through a terrible ordeal, but you can tell us about it. It's all right.
What day is today?
It's Monday the 9th.
Monday. And it was Saturday night. Just 2 days. Seems like 10 years. We just finished dinner, sitting around the fire having coffee, trying to figure out whose turn it was to do the dishes. Then we heard them.
You heard them? Who's that?
Horsemen. Lots of them. They rode right into the camp. One of them yelled something, and they all stopped. Stood there looking at us. We didn't know what to do, who they were. We just stood there. Then this big guy, I guess he was the leader, said something to us in Spanish. We couldn't understand him.
All right, go ahead.
You see, Kevin and I go to school together. Summer vacation, we decided to go down to Mexico and do a little prospecting. That's the reason we were there.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
We just stood there and looked at him. Big guy said something else, and then they all laughed. And he got off his horse and came over to Kevin and me. He was a big man. When we tried to tell him that we didn't know what he was saying, he laughed and turned to the other men, and they laughed too. Big guy said something else to him, and they all got off their horses and started to go through our things. Kevin told him not to and started to walk over to him to stop him. The leader hit Kevin and knocked him down. The men laughed at him, and Kevin got up and ran toward one of them. Kevin started to hit him. I broke away from the one that was holding me and ran to help Kevin. The big guy grabbed me and hit me in the face, knocked me down, and started to kick me. I heard a shot. When I looked where Kevin was, he was all doubled up, holding his stomach. He hollered at me to help him. Then the guy shot him again. He fell down and didn't move. They all laughed, thought it was a big joke. I got up. One of them shot at me. I started running. I ran as fast as I could. He kept shooting. Thought sure they'd hit me, and I kind of waited for it. Then I ran through some bushes, and I fell into this gully.
Mm-hmm.
I hit the bottom. I just lay there and didn't move, almost afraid to breathe. Guess they thought they'd kill me.
I see. What happened then?
I waited until I couldn't hear them anymore, and then I crawled up out of the gully to see if they were gone. I wanted to help Kevin. I didn't see anybody, so I walked over to where he was. He was laying on his face. You got no idea how I felt when I turned him over.
Mm-hmm. All right, we understand. Go ahead.
I knew right away he was dead. It shot him in the stomach and in the chest. Shirt was all stained. There was nothing I could do for him. Nothing anybody could do. I looked at him for a long time. Guess I cried. It was terrible. Kevin was dead, and there's nothing I could do for him.
I see. What'd you do then?
I buried Kevin. I looked for something to dig the grave with, but they'd taken everything, even the shovels. Everything. I found a place under a tree and dug a grave with my hands. Then I went back and got Kevin. Laid him in the grave I dug and covered him up. Said a prayer for him. I did the best I could for him. Best I could.
All right, son. Try to take it easy. Frank, let's get him some water. I'll take him down to the interrogation room, all right?
All right.
Bruce, maybe you'd like to go down the hall to another room. It's a little more quiet down there, huh?
Yeah. Sorry. Crying like a kid. I guess you think it's silly, but I can't help it.
Oh, it's all right, Bruce. We know how you feel. Nobody gets too old to cry. Go ahead. No, it's down this way.
Okay. I'm so tired. I'm glad to get this over with.
Sure. All right, here we are. Go ahead, Bruce. Want to sit down?
Thanks.
Here's a glass of water, Bruce.
Thanks. Tastes good. Helps.
All right. Now, is there any more you want to tell us?
Well, there's a little more. There was nothing I could do. I looked around. They'd taken everything. Dishes, food, supplies, clothes. I went over the mesquite bushes where we hid in our duffel bag. We kept all our money and papers in there. Wallets, identification, all our valuables. They'd found that. It was gone. They hadn't left anything.
Well, they took everything. Didn't leave a thing, huh?
Not a thing.
What'd you do then?
Started to walk. We parked our car just off the highway. It was about 5 miles. When I got to where we'd park it, the car was gone. I didn't know what to do. What could I do?
All right.
I started to walk to Ensenada to tell the police. Then I began to think the bandits had taken my wallet. I didn't have any identification, no way to prove who I was. Couldn't even speak the language. Got scared that they might not believe me.
Now, you walked all the way from Ensenada to the American border, is that it?
That's right. I walked all Saturday night, and Sunday morning I found an old adobe house, and I crawled through a window and slept. I don't know how long I was asleep, but it was dark when I woke up. I started to walk again. I walked all Sunday night, too. When I got to the border, I was afraid to go through the gate, so I went down by the riverbed and found a hole in the fence. I crawled through and went over the American side. When I got there, I felt better. Safe. I figured that I'd go up to the first policeman I saw and tell him what happened.
Did you notify the authorities down in San Diego?
No, I got to the police station, but I didn't go in. I didn't tell them.
Why not?
Like I said, I didn't have any way to prove who I was. I had no money. My wallet was gone. My clothes were all torn. Face was all cut. I thought it'd be better if I could get to Kevin's mother. If I could see her and talk to her, she'd know what to do. I hitched a ride. I wanted to go to San Francisco. Truck driver brought me this far. While we were driving, I thought more and more about what I'd say to Kevin's mother. how I'd tell her he was dead. Then I knew I couldn't do it. But I had to tell somebody. That's why I came to see you.
Now, Bruce, we're going to have to go back down to Mexico. You'll be able to show us where the body is, won't you?
Well, if I have to go, I guess I can. But I can tell you exactly where it was. I can give you a map, tell you right where he's buried.
Do you want to give us that information now?
Yeah. It was south of Ensenada, 40 miles down the new paved highway.
South of Ensenada, 40 miles. You sure it was 40 miles?
Yeah. While we were driving, Kevin and I kept trying to figure out how many kilometers to a mile. I kept watching the speedometer. It was just 40 miles when we turned off the paved highway onto a little dirt road.
40 miles?
Yeah. There's a clump of trees near there in the gully. You can't miss it.
I see. Can you give us the description of the car, the license number?
Oh, I don't remember the license number, but the car was a 51 Ford sedan, dark blue. Car belonged to Kevin. I never paid any attention to the license.
Mm-hmm. That's K-E-V-I-N, Kevin, huh?
Yeah.
Now we can check that through DMV. What was Kevin's full name and address?
Kevin Allen Bradley. He lived at 6502 Washington Street, San Francisco. He lived with his mother, apartment on Nob Hill.
Mm-hmm. Would you give us a description of Kevin?
Well, he's about my size, generally. 5'10", 140 pounds, blue eyes. His hair's light, kind of blonde like mine, 22 years old. We looked a lot alike. Kids at school used to think we were brothers sometimes.
I see. Joe, we better get a communication to the Mexican authorities, fill them in on the whole thing. Tell them we're coming down.
Yeah.
Contact San Francisco and let them handle that end of the thing. Mm-hmm. Get a teletype off the DMV in Sacramento, get a license number on the car. We better contact the San Diego PD and get a hold of Al Gate and fill him in on the thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll stay here with Bruce. You want to take care of that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, young fella, would you know these bandits again if you saw them?
I might not know some of them, but the big guy and the one that shot Kevin, I'll never forget them. The big guy was tall, heavy, over 6 feet, well over 200 pounds. I'll never forget him. That laugh when he killed Kevin. When he laughed, you could see he had 2 gold teeth right here in front. These here.
2 gold teeth, huh?
Yeah.
Now, how about the other man, Bruce? You get a good look at him?
He was a small man, dark like the leader. He wasn't wearing a hat. Real thin face. His clothes were all dirty, and his pants were torn around the bottoms. He was wearing those leather sandals, the open kind. His feet were filthy, like he hadn't had a bath in a year.
You think you'd be able to identify any of the others?
Well, I don't know. Maybe if I saw him. I was scared, and I don't mind admitting it.
Joe?
Yeah, Frank.
I stopped by R&I before I went on with the other communications. Checked the name Kevin Allen Bradley through.
Yeah.
There's a teletype from San Francisco dated July 13th. It's a missing person report on Kevin. You want to read it?
What's it say? Regular missing report?
Well, it's described as male, white American, 22 years, 5'10", 140 pounds, blonde, blue eyes, fair complexion. Time of disappearance was wearing a dark blue gabardine suit. Driving a dark blue 1951 Ford, license number 1 Robert 2951. Nothing else, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
He's known to be carrying a sum of money in excess of $1,500 when he disappeared.
$1,500? That's a lot of money, isn't it?
Not to Kevin. He was used to carrying that kind of money. See, his folks were pretty rich. He always had all the money he wanted.
Oh, I see. Well, how about this missing report here, Bruce?
What do you mean?
Well, didn't Kevin's mother know that he was going to Mexico?
Well, no. You see, they had an argument about where he was going to spend his summer vacation. She wanted him to go to Canada, and he wanted to come down here. One afternoon, he just took off. Kevin went to the bank and got the money and just took off.
He didn't tell his mother anything about it?
No, he thought that she'd try to stop him. Probably would have, too, if she'd known.
Oh, was the money among the things that were stolen from you?
Well, yeah. It was in Kevin's wallet in the duffel bag.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose it was kind of foolish to leave that much money just laying around, but we did. We didn't think that anything had happened like this. I stop and think back over it. Kevin being dead, I don't know, I just get sick.
Now, you say you didn't have any money. How did you get along?
I didn't think much about food. The important thing was to tell somebody about Kevin's being killed. That's all I thought about, telling somebody.
Yeah, sure. Well, you must be pretty hungry then. You'd like something to eat now, would you?
Yeah, it might taste pretty good. Sandwich and some coffee. How about you guys? You gonna eat?
Frank, how about you?
Yeah, after I get communications off, I'll run across the street and pick up some sandwiches and coffee and bring them back here.
All right, fine.
What kind of sandwich you like, Bruce?
No, anything. Doesn't make any difference.
Joe?
Oh, ham's all right. White bread, a lot of mustard.
Okay, I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh, say, Joe, I'm running kind of low on my allowance. I only got $1.50. You got a little change?
Yeah, sure.
Now, here, let me get this.
What's that?
Huh?
Did you say you had some money?
Well, I have got $10. $10 bill.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought you said the bandits took all your money. Did I get it wrong?
Well, what I meant is I didn't think I had any money. I found this 10 in my pocket just before I walked in here.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Look, you can see it's all wadded up. It must have been in my pocket for a long time. Just a 10 all wadded up.
Yeah, well, it's all crumpled up there. You can hardly tell what it is, can you?
Yeah, that's right. But you can see it's a 10.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. It's all wrinkled up. You can see how I missed it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, why don't you put everything in your pockets right here on the table, huh?
Why? What'll that show?
All right, come on, boy.
I haven't got anything in my pockets.
Well, you found the 10. Maybe you'll find something else.
All right, but I don't know what it's going to show. Pocket knife, handkerchief, comb. You got the 10 on the table there. That's all.
Maybe there's something in your coat pocket.
No, I don't carry anything in my coat pockets. Stretches them.
Well, you take a look anyway, huh?
I told you I don't use them. See? Nothing.
How about the inside pocket?
No. Well, there's nothing there.
Let's have a look, huh?
I told you there's nothing there.
Then you won't mind if we have a look.
What's that you got there, Bruce?
That's my wallet. Guess they didn't take it after all. Gee, thanks for finding it. No, I probably wouldn't have thought to look for it. I just figured that it was gone. Here, let me have it.
Let's see what's in it, huh?
Well, just some cards, personal stuff like that. Nothing you'd be interested in. I forgot all about it. I feel pretty silly. I didn't even know it was there.
Take a look, Joe.
Mm-hmm. You say this is your wallet, is that right, Bruce?
Yeah, it's mine. I told you it's mine. How about letting me have it, huh?
There's quite a bit of money in here, Bruce.
Huh?
I don't know. Just a glance here. Looks to be about $1,000, doesn't it?
Well, just a minute. I think I can explain that.
Now, there's another thing here I don't think you can explain.
What's that?
The name in the wallet. Kevin Bradley.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
With the finding of Kevin Bradley's wallet, the case had taken a new turn. We continued to question Bruce Hamilton, but he insisted that he thought the wallet and the money had been taken by the bandits when they killed the Bradley boy. While I talked to him, Frank went down the hall and contacted the Mexican authorities and gave them the information. He gave them the description of Kevin Bradley and of Bruce Hamilton. They told him that to the best of their knowledge, there were no bandits operating in the vicinity, but they would dispatch a search party to go over the area. They said they would keep us advised of any developments that might arise. Frank also contacted the San Francisco Police Department and gave them the information. They said they'd take care of that end of the investigation. 11:47 a.m. Frank came back to the interrogation room, and we continued to question the Hamilton boy.
I told you all I know. I don't know how the money got there. I was as surprised as you were. I don't understand it. You gotta believe me.
Yeah, well, you're making it pretty tough to believe, Bruce. It's kind of hard to buy the fact that over $1,000 in Kevin's wallet turns up in your pocket, and you don't know how it got there.
But it's the truth. I don't know how I can convince you that it's the truth.
Well, there are a couple of other things that aren't clear here.
What? Tell me. I'm not lying. I've got nothing to hide. What's not right? Tell me.
Well, this business of not telling the authorities.
I told you I was scared that they might not believe me. You can understand that, can't you?
Well, maybe up to a point.
I thought that if I could get to Kevin's mother, then she could take care of it. I didn't know what else to do. Then when I got to L.A., I had a chance to think about it, and I couldn't go through with it. I couldn't tell his mother. I couldn't face her.
Bruce, when you described where we could find the body, you said it was about 40 miles down the paved highway, that right?
That's what I said.
Well, how long has it been since you've been to Mexico?
Well, I told you I just came back from there. Don't you believe anything I've told you?
Well, Joe and I just finished an investigation down in Mexico. Investigation took us about 70 miles south of Ensenada. We found a highway paved for only about 5 miles south. You say 40 miles. How do you explain the difference?
Well, maybe I was wrong about the distance.
Well, you're pretty sure when you first told us about it.
Well, maybe I made a mistake.
There's something else, Bruce. It's a little hazy here.
I told you I want to help anything.
How far south of Ensenada did you say you were?
I said about 40 miles. Now I'm not sure.
But you are sure that it was south of Ensenada?
Well, yeah.
And Kevin was killed on a Saturday night?
That's right.
And you started for the States right away?
That's what I said. I started walking as soon as I found the car was gone.
And you walked all the way to the border?
Well, that's right.
How'd you walk? What route did you take?
I told you I stayed off the road. I was afraid of the bandits coming back. I walked along the roadside and then through the hills. I got off the roadside whenever I saw anybody coming.
But you did walk all the way?
Yeah, that's right. All the way from Ensenada to the border.
And it took you how long?
Oh, Saturday night and Sunday night. I got a ride in San Diego in the morning.
What time do you figure that you started for the border?
Maybe 11:30, midnight. I don't know for sure.
And you stopped at dawn?
Well, yeah, I stopped and slept. Then I woke up and I started to walk.
And you're asking us to believe that you walked over 100 miles in less than 14 hours. Is that right?
Yeah.
Through country like that?
What do you think? That I'm making the whole thing up? Look at my face, my back. Here, look. Does this look like my imagination?
You could have gotten these in a fight with Kevin. Maybe he didn't want you to take the money.
You keep talking about the money. I try to tell you I don't know how the money got in my pocket. I don't know anything about it. You think I killed Kevin, is that right?
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it?
But he was my best friend. I had no reason to kill him. He was my friend.
Now, look, son, we better get this thing straight for you. You've opened up a can of beans here. You waltz in here and give us a cock and bull story about this killing. Parts of your story we can't buy. Why are you trying to sell it to us? You lied about the road. You lied about the money. The story about how you walked doesn't ring true. You want to know what I really think, Bruce? I think the whole thing's a lie. From start to finish, a lie. Now, let's come off it. Who killed Kevin Bradley?
I don't know. I don't know.
Now, get this straight, Bruce. Did you kill him?
Huh?
Did you kill Kevin Bradley? Is that the reason for this story?
No, I didn't.
Well, somebody did. Can you tell us who?
You're getting me all mixed up.
You're the one that's getting it mixed up, Bruce. We just want to know who killed Kevin Bradley.
We think maybe it was you.
Looks like it might have been.
No, it couldn't be. Leave me alone. I didn't do it.
Why couldn't you have done it? Looks like you did.
Because Kevin Bradley isn't dead.
What's that?
He was never killed. I'm Kevin Bradley.
The boy broke down completely and admitted that the whole thing was a hoax. He said he hadn't been in Mexico at all, but that he had spent the past week in a downtown hotel working out the story that he planned to tell us. He admitted that the wounds were self-inflicted. He explained that he had scratched his own face and hit himself with a rock to produce the cuts and bruises. He went on to say that he had picked Mexico as the scene of the false killing because he thought the story would be more difficult to trace. Like many citizens, he was unaware of the close cooperation between American law enforcement agencies and the Mexican authorities. We asked him about the existence of a Bruce Hamilton, and he told us there was such a boy in his class at school. 12:50 p.m. The communication had come through from San Francisco, and the teletype said that Mrs. Bradley was en route to Los Angeles to aid in the investigation. When we told Kevin about this, he lapsed into silence, and for another hour refused to say anything. 2:05 p.m.
All right, now look, boy, you've been sitting there for an hour and you haven't said a word. If there's something you want to say, we'll listen.
There's nothing to say. I tried to get away from her. All my life she's told me what to do. I tried to tell her, but I couldn't. Nobody would understand. You don't, you can't. Every time I tried to get away, she'd say something or do something, so I couldn't leave. I was trapped, and I didn't know what to do. Then I thought I did know, and even that didn't work. I thought that if you told her I was dead, she'd forget me. Leave me alone. I can't even die right.
Kevin, you're here. I knew what they told me was wrong. I knew you were all right.
Hello, Mother.
What happened to you, Kevin, darling? Your face, your clothes. Oh, my poor baby, how did this happen? Are you all right? Oh, your poor face all cut. What's happened, Kevin?
It's all right, Mother.
No, it's not all right. I don't know what happened or who did this awful thing, but I'll take care of it. Officer.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you know about this?
I beg your pardon?
What do you know about this? Did you do it? Did you hit this poor boy? Look at this poor face. Just look at it. It's terrible. That's what it is. It's terrible. I need to find out just what happened here. I'll get to the bottom of this. No, don't you worry, Kevin, baby. Mother's here. She'll take care of you.
Mother, please.
It's all right, honey. Everything will be all right.
Mother, these officers had nothing to do with it.
Of course not. If you say so, Kevin, baby. Have you called the doctor about this? Have you gotten in touch with someone to take care of his face? Never mind. I'll take him to a doctor. I'll look after him. Poor baby. Mother will look after him.
Mother, please
Now,
don't.
Kevin, you know that Mother knows what's best. Mother will take care of it.
Stop it. Stop it. Shut up.
Kevin.
I'm sick of it, tired of it. For 20 years, as long as I can remember, you've taken care of things. Did you ever think I might want to take care of a few things myself? Have you ever thought that I wasn't a kid anymore? I'm an adult. Like it says on the missing report, male, white American, 22 years, an adult.
All right, take it easy, son.
No, I've tried to say this before, and I've never had the nerve. I've got it now, and I'm going to finish. I'm tired of having you make all the arrangements for me. I'm going to have dates with girls that I want to go out with, not the ones you pick for me. I'm going to get a job and make my own way. I'm going to buy a car, and if I smash it up and me along with it, it's my business. I'll never forgive you for what you've done. You spent 20 years making me an outsider, always on the fringe. I couldn't do the things I wanted to, only the things you wanted me to do, only the things you thought best. I'm sick of having you make the decisions for me. From here on in, I'm going to make them myself. I tried to kill Kevin Bradley for no reason. You killed him a long time ago. Take a good look at me, Mother. Take a good look and see what you've done. I hate the sight of you. I hate everything about you. Now leave me alone and go away.
All right, take it easy, boy.
It's all right, officer. I understand. Sometimes he gets like this. He doesn't mean it. I know him. All right, Kevin. I'm sure the officers are impressed. Dry your eyes and we'll go home. Do you hear me, Kevin? Stop this foolishness, I said. We're going home.
Yes, Mother, I hear you.
I'm sorry, officer. Embarrassing. I don't know why he does these things. He's always been pretty emotional.
Yes, ma'am.
There's nothing else. We better be going. I want to catch the early plane back to the city. There's a party planned for tomorrow night. A million things to do. You'll have to help Kevin. Kevin, do you hear me?
Yes, Mother, I hear you.
Well, then say goodbye to the officers and let's go.
Goodbye, Mr. Friday. Mr. Smith. I'm sorry this all happened.
Yeah, so are we, son.
I tried, Sergeant. Just didn't work, but I did try.
Kevin, let's go. I don't want to miss that plane.
Yes, Mother.
Oh, Sergeant.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for giving my boy back to me.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 9th, the matter was taken before the city attorney for a decision. In a moment, the results of that decision.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, if you're planning a trip this coming holiday weekend, I'd like to suggest that you take Fatima's along with you. Get a carton or two, and that way you'll have enough to last the trip. In Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness and a really different flavor and aroma. You get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. That's king-size Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack and carton.
In the interest of justice, there was no complaint filed against Kevin Allen Bradley. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, Edwin Bruce, Sarah Selby. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Friday, hear the Mario Lanza Show on NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. You get a call that a man has had a heart attack, fallen and fractured his skull. It looks like an accidental death. Your job? Investigate. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, September 4th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 10:46 p.m. when we got to 2102 West Francis Avenue. The front door.
Yes?
Miss Prater?
Yes, that's right.
Police officers, ma'am.
Oh, yes, of course. Come in.
Thank you. Well, I'm Sergeant Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do?
How do you do, ma'am?
How do you do, Mr. Smith? Won't you sit down?
Yes, thank you very much.
Doctor said you'd be here. Guess he told you about the accident.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if there's something you want to know, I guess I can tell you about it.
Mm-hmm. Your husband's full name was Alfred Kenneth Prater, is that right?
Yes, Alfred Kenneth.
I wonder if we could go in, Miss Prater.
Yes, it's in the dining room.
Yes, ma'am.
We just finished dinner, and Alfred got up from the table, said he wanted to see the ball game on television. Excused himself and got up, then all of a sudden he put his hand on his chest and started to stagger. Said something about his heart. Asked me to help him.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Well, I jumped up to go to him. He just crumpled and fell. With his head on the table, the lay there didn't move. The doctor said his skull might be fractured. That's what it might have killed him.
Did you call the doctor right away?
No, I stayed with Alfred. My mother called Dr. Adams. He's her own doctor. When we got here, poor Alfred was gone.
We'll try to take it easy. Dr. Adams, he's the one that called us.
Yes, he said he would. Something about a death certificate. I didn't understand it.
Well, Miss Prater, maybe you'd like to go into the living room.
Yes, please.
Can we get you anything? Glass of water or anything?
No, I'll be all right. It'll just take a minute.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Just a few more questions. Did your husband have a history of a bad heart, any trouble like this before?
Not that I know of. He never said anything about it. He used to work awfully hard, long hours.
Has your husband been under the care of a physician?
No, never was sick. Had a doctor where we used to live. Since we've been here, we haven't had any need for one.
Your husband ever give you any indication there was something wrong with his heart?
No, if there was something wrong, Alfred would have said something about it. We had no secrets, told each other everything. Married 14 years and never had a single fight that amounted to anything. Wonderful husband. And we couldn't ask for anything more. Good provider.
Well, who was here when your husband had the accident, ma'am?
My mother, she lives with us.
She here now?
Yes, she's in the next room lying down. It's been a trying time, officer.
Yes, ma'am.
All those years, Alfred and me. When Ray was born, he's 9 now. Happy family. All the neighbors used to tell me how lucky I was, but I knew it. I knew it. Now it's all gone.
I wonder if we could speak to your mother, Miss Prater.
Yes, of course. I'll get her. Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am.
She's 55. Hasn't been too well lately, and this whole thing's been quite a shock for her. I'd appreciate it if you'd be as brief as possible.
Yes, ma'am. We understand.
Mother? Mother, are you awake?
Yes, dear. What is it?
Well, there are 2 officers out in the living room. They'd like to talk to you.
What about?
It's about Alfred.
Alfred, what about him?
I just wanted to ask you some questions. Nothing wrong.
I'll tell him I'll be right there.
All right, dear. I'll be right out upstairs.
All right, thank you, Miss Prater.
Can I get you something? A cup of coffee or something?
No, not a thing, thank you.
No, ma'am. Thank you very much.
If you don't mind, I'd like to make a pot of tea for Mother and myself.
Yes, go right ahead.
Do you want to come out in the kitchen? We can talk while I put the water on.
All right, ma'am.
Did you call the coroner, Frank?
Yeah, Joe, before we left the office. Should be here in a minute now. Have to get a sketch of the room before he removes the body.
Yeah.
Ray's the one who's going to suffer for it.
How's that, ma'am?
Poor little kid. He and his father were great friends. I don't know what he's going to do when he really knows what's happened.
Well, doesn't the boy know about it yet?
Yes, he was here when it happened, but I don't think he realizes yet what it means.
How old did you say he was, ma'am?
9 last month.
Where is he now, Miss Prater?
He's in his room, asleep. Here's Mother now, officers. Mother?
Yes, dear.
Mother, this is Mr. Friday and Mr. Smith from the police. My mother, Mrs. Atkins.
Hello.
How do you know, ma'am?
Ellen says there's something about Alfred?
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
I don't see any need to call the police. Accident, that's what the doctor said.
Well, there's no death certificate, ma'am. We have to look into it. It's just routine.
Mrs. Prater told us pretty much what we want to know. We'd just like to get your side of it.
Sure, I was there, you know. I saw it all. He got up from the table, said he had a heart attack. Well, he wasn't fooling me.
I beg your pardon?
He wasn't fooling me. I knew. Heart attack. Phooey.
I don't understand.
He was drunk.
Mother.
Well, I still think he was, and you ain't going to change my mind.
Had Mr. Prater been drinking?
No. Well, he maybe had a drink on the way home from work, you know, to relax him a little.
Mm-hmm.
Relax him. There was no trouble relaxing him. Big thing was to get him off the dime. Laziest man I ever knew. I told her not to marry him. I was against it all the time. I knew his type. Out carousing around. Hanging around in bars. And he'd come home and take it out on poor Ellen and little Ray.
Mother, please. Alfred was my husband. He's Ray's father. He's dead. Find a little forgiveness in your heart.
That's all I'll find. A little. Officer, I'm not afraid to say what I think. I didn't like him. I never did. As far as I'm concerned, he was no good. Drunken bum, that's all he was. He hated me. Never did like me. Regretted every mouthful of food I ate. Never was too quiet about it either.
Mother, that's not true. Alfred never regretted having you here with us.
Well, that's what you say, and I know different. He might have died from a heart attack, all right. But if he did, that was that cheap liquor brought it on. Got up from the table, staggered around, and fell. Well, you say it was his heart, and I say he was drunk. Just plain drunk.
Well, how about it, Miss Prater? Had Mr. Prater been drinking enough to make him fall, do you think?
Certainly not, officer. You'll have to excuse Mother. She doesn't mean what she's saying.
I do, too. If you're going to call me a liar, I'm going to my room. When you're sorry about what you said, you can call me.
You have to forgive her. She doesn't know what she's saying.
Yes, ma'am.
My father died when I was very young, Sergeant. That was all Mother had. Guess she never did think any man was good enough for me.
I hate to do this, Mrs. Prater, but there are some questions we have to ask for our report if you'll bear with us.
Of course, I understand.
You said his full name was Alfred Kenneth Prater, is that right?
Yes.
What was his age?
36. Birthday's November 22nd.
How about his physical description?
5'11", 167 pounds. Front door. You mind answering?
Not at all, ma'am. I imagine it's for us anyway. I'll get it, Joe.
Miss Prater, we'd like to get this straight. Just your mother, your son, and yourself were present when this accident occurred, is that right?
Yes, just the three of us. The water's ready. You sure you don't want a cup of tea?
No, ma'am. Thanks just the same.
How about the other officers?
No, I don't think you'll want him either. About your boy, Ray, Miss Prater.
What about him?
You said he was asleep?
That's right. We put him to bed right after the accident. He was so close to Alfred. They were great friends. Thought it might be best if he went back to sleep. You want to see him?
Well, probably better if he sleeps right now. We can talk to him in the morning if we have to.
I'd appreciate it if you could, Mr. Friday. He's just a boy and all this. You know.
Sure, ma'am. We understand.
Deputy Coroner Joey's taking care of the body.
Well, what about that, sir?
They're going to take Alfred now.
Yes, ma'am.
Will he be? Can I go along? Poor Alfred.
There's no need for it, ma'am. There'll be an inquest after the autopsy. We'll give you a call about that. We know how you feel, ma'am. We don't like to intrude at a time like this, but it's one of our duties. There being no doctor in attendance at the time of death. Meantime, if there's anything we can do for you, here's our card, and you let us know anything at all.
Thank you very much. Michigan 5211.
That's right, that's right. Station 2521.
All right, Mr. Friday. Terrible thing. Can't hardly believe it. Alfred dead. Terrible. Officers?
Yes, ma'am?
I hope you didn't take Mother seriously about Alfred drinking. I know she didn't really mean it.
Well, don't worry about it, Miss Prater. We understand.
Don't forget to call us if there's anything you need.
I won't. Good night, Mr. Friday, Mr. Smith.
Good night, ma'am.
That's one for you, huh, Joe?
Yeah.
Even when he's dead, his mother-in-law won't leave him alone. Must have been a real pleasant life.
He's been rough on his wife, too. Huh?
Joe, you hear that?
I think I did over there to the window, didn't I?
Yeah, there's somebody there.
call us, son?
Yeah. You the cops?
Oh, that's right. Is something you wanted?
Yeah, I'm Ray Prater. Something I wanted to tell you.
All right. What is it, son?
About my father. I don't want Mom to hear me. She'd be sorry if she knew I told you. I'm supposed to be asleep.
What's that, Ray?
I've been sitting here listening to you talk to me. She told me she'd tell you, and she didn't.
Tell us what, Ray?
Maybe I shouldn't tell you. Mom said she'd take care of it. I just don't know what to do. I tried to think of what Dad'd do. He always said if there was something wrong to find a policeman and tell him.
All right, son. What is it you want to tell us?
About Dad. Just before he fell and hit his head, he was finishing dinner. He drank a glass of milk and put the glass down on the table, and he said to Mom, "This milk tastes bitter." Just like that. This milk tastes bitter. I tried mine, but it tastes all right.
Now, go ahead.
Well, a little bit after, he got up from the table and he fell and hit his head.
Did your mother hear him say that about the milk?
Yes, sir. She was right there.
Well, why did you say that you didn't want your mother to know that you talked to us, Ray?
Because when I asked her about it, she said for me not to tell anybody. Mom said that if I told anybody, they wouldn't believe me. They'd be mad at me. I sat here and thought about it, and if she didn't tell you, I thought maybe I should. Is that wrong, mister?
No, son, that's not wrong.
Hope it's all right. Is it, mister?
What's that, son?
Are you mad at me?
Before we left the house, the incident looked just like another natural or accidental death. However, with the boy's story, it seemed possible that it might be something more. 11:56 p.m. Under the pretext of getting additional information for our report, Frank and I went back into the house. We talked to Mrs. Prater for another hour. It was possible that the boy's story about the glass of milk was his imagination, but it had to be checked out. While we talked to her, we had to be careful not to let her know that we'd seen or talked to little Ray. We noticed that the dishes from the evening meal had been washed and put away. We commented about this, and Mrs. Prater said that she'd done the dishes to keep her mind occupied while she waited for us. Frank and I asked her about her husband's insurance policies, and she gave us the name of the company that had written them. We asked if she and her husband had quarreled much, and she told us that in 14 years of marriage, they hadn't had one serious argument. During the conversation, we gave her every opportunity to tell us about Mr. Prater's remark concerning the glass of milk. She didn't mention it. Until we received the results of the autopsy, Frank and I figured we'd better wait before questioning her further. 12:34 a.m. We got back to the office and signed out. The next morning, we put in a call to the insurance company to check on the husband's policies. The deputy coroner said we'd have the results of the autopsy by noon. Thursday, 11:20 a.m.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. All right, sir, thank you. Yeah, that's right, Smith, 2521. Thanks again. Bye.
Anything?
The insurance company says when they wrote the policy on Prater, there was nothing wrong with his heart.
Yeah.
Good-sized policy, Joe.
Yeah.
$25,000 double indemnity in case of accidental death.
Who's the beneficiary?
His wife. The guy at the company told me that Mrs. Prater called last week, wanted to know the premium on a larger amount.
Mm-hmm.
He gave it to her and said they'd like to send a salesman over to the house to talk to her and her husband. She said it wouldn't be necessary. She'd bring him down to the office. They haven't heard from her since.
$50,000. Sure good enough motive, isn't it?
Yeah. Funny about the kid, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Figuring what his father said about the milk might have meant something. Must have been a tough decision for the little guy to make, whether to tell us or keep quiet.
I'll get it. Homicide, Friday. Yeah, just a second. All right, go ahead. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Abernathy at the coroner's office just finished the autopsy.
Anything?
Yeah. Considerable amount of poison in the victim's stomach.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
The finding of the poison in the stomach of Alfred Prater had definitely ruled out natural or accidental death. There was still the possibility, however, that he'd taken his own life. The story given us by the Sun made this unlikely, but still within the realm of possibility. 1:15 p.m. Frank and I arrived at the Prater residence.
Yes? Oh, you're the officers who were here last night. Won't you come in?
Thank you, ma'am.
Something more that you wanted to know? I think I told you everything last night.
Well, something's come up, ma'am. Kind of changes things a little.
What's that?
Well, originally, ma'am, we thought your husband's death was natural or accidental.
You mean now you don't think so?
No, ma'am, he died of poison.
No, it can't be. There's a mistake someplace.
No, afraid not, ma'am. Wonder if we could sit down. A few questions we're going to have to ask you.
Yes, of course. This is quite a shock, officers. I don't know what to think.
Yes, ma'am. Did you tell us what you had for dinner last night, what your husband ate?
He ate the same things all of us did, nothing different.
What was that, ma'am?
Green salad, macaroni and cheese, bread and butter, and a pudding for dessert.
You all ate the same food, is that right?
Yes, what are you trying to say? Do you think that I poisoned Alfred?
We're not trying to say anything, Mrs. Prater. Your husband died of poison. We're trying to find out why.
Just a minute. Mother? Mother, can you come out here a minute? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Your husband have anything to drink with his dinner, ma'am?
Of course, water, then coffee after dinner. He always has a couple of cups of coffee after dinner.
Now, all he had with his dinner was water, is that right?
Yes, just water.
Did he ever drink anything else with his dinner? Milk, tea, maybe a glass of beer?
Oh, milk once in a while. Last night we only had enough for Ray, though. Just one glass. As for beer, Mother'd raised such a fuss, I don't think Alfred wanted to go through it. No, if he wanted beer, he drank it at the bar down the street.
Well, you're sure, though, that last night your husband only drank water with his meal, is that right?
Yes, I told you, just water. Why all this harping on milk? What are you trying to say? What are you getting at? Mother, are you coming out?
That's all the ruckus about. Can I even take a nap in peace?
These officers just told me that Alfred's death wasn't accidental, Mother.
Not accidental? Nonsense. The doctor said it was an accident. What more do you need? Got drunk and fell down, broke his head. Of course it was an accident.
I'm afraid not, Miss Atkins. Your son-in-law was poisoned.
Poisoned? How?
That's what we're trying to find out.
I seem to think that maybe I did it, Mother.
You? Why, that's ridiculous. Why would she do it?
Well, there was quite a bit of insurance, for one thing.
You've been nosing around, haven't you? So there was a little insurance. What does that prove?
It was more than a little, ma'am. $25,000 worth. Double indemnity clause makes it $50,000.
And that brings up another thing, Miss Prater.
Yes?
The insurance company says that you called them and wanted to raise the amount of the policy. Is that right?
Well, yes, I did call him, but Alfred told me to. Said he wanted to provide more for me and Ray.
Anyone hear your husband say that he wanted more insurance?
No, we're not in the habit of discussing our private business around other people.
Other people learn to keep their noses where they belong. The world would be a better place.
Miss Atkins, I wonder if you could tell us what you had for dinner last night.
But that is the limit. I just told you what we had. Isn't that enough? Come in here and you ask a lot of questions. Poor Alfred's not even buried, and you come in here and upset me.
Well, we're awfully sorry, Mrs. Prater, but we have to find out. That's what we're paid for.
It's all right, Ellen. We've got nothing to hide. Answer their questions, and then maybe they'll leave us alone.
But I told them that we don't know anything about it. I told them.
All right, honey. Now calm down. Now, dinner last night. What you wanted to know about?
Yes, ma'am. Just what you had to eat.
Macaroni and cheese. Little salad and some pudding Ellen made.
Nothing else?
Bread and butter.
How about something to drink?
Water. Good, clean water.
Ray drink water, too?
No, he had milk.
Mr. Prater drink milk?
I told you.
We'd like for your mother to tell us, too, ma'am, just to keep the record straight.
I think he might have had some milk to drink. I don't remember special.
No, he didn't, Mother. Remember when I poured the milk for Ray? I said there wasn't enough for anyone else. Just one glass for Ray. That's all there was. Don't you remember?
Oh, no, I don't. But if you say it was that way, then I guess it was. You got no reason to lie. Ever occur to you officers that maybe Alfred took the poison himself? Ever think of that?
How's that, ma'am?
Well, didn't you tell him, Ellen? About how he used to moan around the house saying he couldn't stand it anymore?
You know what, yes, ma'am? Your husband ever talk about taking his own life?
Yes, I didn't want to bring it up, but now I suppose I'll have to.
Yes.
Alfred was pretty depressed. He felt that he wasn't getting any place in his job. He felt that at his age he should be farther along. Times he'd get real low, say he wasn't going any place. I did my best to make him feel better. Guess it didn't do any good.
Well, did he ever say he was thinking of taking his own life?
Yes, several times. I laughed him out of it, and things would go along quiet for a while, and then something would happen that would set him off again.
Well, how is it that you didn't tell us about this before, ma'am?
Well, I didn't think it'd prove anything. No reason to drag skeletons out of the closet.
You satisfied now? You happy? Now you know about Alfred, maybe you'll leave us alone.
Is your son here, ma'am?
Yes, he's out in the yard playing. I'll call him if you have to talk to him.
I'd like to very much, ma'am.
All right, I'll get him.
Well, before you go, Miss Prater.
Yes?
Do you keep any poison around the house?
Of
course not. I'd be afraid that Ray might find it.
Nothing at all? Nothing for rats, gophers, anything like that?
No, never been bothered with rats or mice. There aren't any gophers around. No, Sergeant. There's no poison in the house.
Well, you wouldn't mind if we looked around, would you? Maybe your husband bought some and he didn't tell you about it.
No, go ahead and look. I know you won't find anything. Alfred and I had talked about keeping anything around that Ray might get into. I don't recall ever having bought any poison, and I'm pretty sure Alfred didn't.
Well, we'll take a look later, ma'am. It's all right. Now, if we could just talk to your son.
I'll get him. Ray? Ray, come in here. No, right now. He'll be right in, Mr. Friday. I hope you won't say anything to upset him.
Yeah, Mom? What do you want?
These men here'd like to talk to you, son. They're policemen.
What do they want to talk to me about? I haven't done anything.
We know that, Ray. Just have a couple questions for you.
This is Mr. Friday and Mr. Smith, my son Ray.
Hi. Pleased to meet you.
You bet. Wonder if you could tell us what you had for dinner last night, Ray?
Dinner?
Yes, son.
Well, Mom fixed macaroni and cheese. We had that.
Mm-hmm. Anything else, son?
A salad. I didn't like it. Then we had some pudding for dessert.
What'd you have to drink, Ray?
Milk.
What'd your father have? Ray?
I don't remember too well. You better ask Mom. She'll tell you.
I told you, Mr. Friday, only Ray had milk. His father drank water.
Ray?
That's right, Mr. Friday. Dad drank water. Nothing else.
It was apparent that Mrs. Prater didn't know Ray had talked to us the night before, and we were reluctant to involve the boy any more than was necessary. We searched the house and the garage, but we found nothing that could have been used to poison the husband. We obtained samples of Ellen Prater's and Mrs. Atkins' handwriting. We canvassed the drugstores in the immediate area. None of the druggists we talked to could remember selling poison to a woman answering either description. We contacted the office, and Sergeants Gill and Cenas and Danny Galindo were dispatched to the neighborhood where the Praters had lived previously. They were to canvass the drugstores and at the same time talk to the neighbors. In talking to the people in the area around the house, we found that the Praters were the subject of constant gossip. We heard tales of violent arguments between the victim and his wife. Several of the quarrels had resulted in the neighbors calling the police to quiet them. Around the neighborhood, we found out that Mrs. Prater had a violent temper and had had several arguments with her husband in the corner bar. According to the bartender, she accused him of running around. He went on to tell us that as far as he knew, nothing was further from the truth. That Alfred Prater loved his home and his son, and that he took to drinking as an excuse to get away from his wife's nagging. 5:20 p.m. Frank and I checked into the office.
Rough day.
Yeah, a lot of legwork.
Not that so much. Just hoping Cenas and Galindo did better than us.
Well, we didn't do too bad. We pretty much proved that what she said about the happy home life wasn't true.
I suppose. Without being able to show they were in possession of the poison, we aren't going to be able to prove much. I got it, Joe.
Yeah.
Homicide, Smith. Yeah, Gil. Mm-hmm. How about that? Yeah, ask him to, huh? Okay. Said what? Yeah, I got it. Right. See you then.
And Cenas?
Yeah, they found the place she bought the poison. Druggist out there remembered her from the description, checked the book, used the name Eileen Peters. Funny thing, though.
Yeah.
When the druggist asked her the address, she gave him the real one. You know, the house they lived in previously.
She said what she wanted the poison for?
Yeah, Gil said the book read to destroy pests.
On the way out to pick up Mrs. Prater, Frank and I outlined the plan for identification. In the event the druggist was unable to give a positive identification, we thought it better if the suspect didn't know she was being observed. This would forestall any embarrassment to the druggist. We arrived at the Prater home and took the suspect into custody. She said that she couldn't understand why we were arresting her, but that she'd be more than happy to go with us to get the thing straightened out. 6:40 p.m. Frank and I talked with Ms. Prater in the interrogation room.
Alfred and I got along perfectly, never a misunderstanding.
Oh, your neighbors don't bear that out, Miss Prater.
What?
They said that you two used to fight all the time. Had to call the police a couple of times.
They're busybodies, Mr. Friday, busybodies. They were jealous because Alfred and I were so happy. Once in a while we had a little fuss, but nothing worth mentioning.
How about the police being called, Mary?
Well, they might have come by when we were playing the radio a little loud, having a party, something like that, but never an argument.
And you said your husband didn't drink any milk the night he died, is that right?
That's right, I did.
Your boy Ray seems to disagree with that. He said that his father did drink some milk, commented on the fact that it tasted bitter.
The little sneak, he's lying, of course, you know that. Wait a minute, you talked to him. He said that his father drank water, like I said. What are you trying to do, cause trouble between me and my son?
No, ma'am.
I should hope not. Poor little kid, father dead, and you're trying to say that I did it, that I killed Ray's father. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Frank?
Yeah, Joe?
It's a little warm in here. You want to open the door for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. That's better. Not too cold on you, is it, Miss Prater?
No.
Miss Prater, did you ever buy any poison for any purpose?
You asked me that before. I told you no then. The answer's the same now.
You're sure that you never bought any poison of any type?
Absolutely.
You ever do any business with a Mr. McLean in your old neighborhood?
McLean? Don't recall the name.
He's a druggist.
No. No, I always bought from Mr. Swenson, little drugstore in the corner near the house.
Excuse me a minute, will you please? I want to check something down the hall.
Yeah, all right, fine.
Listen, maybe you haven't got anything else to do, but I have. So if you'll get this foolishness over with, I'd like to go home.
Well, we're almost finished, Miss Prater. Just a couple more things.
Well, get 'em over with.
Same one, Joe. He's positive.
Mm-hmm. Miss Prater?
Yes?
Maybe if we lay this thing out for you, it'd be a little better.
Anything to get it over with. I want to go home. I got to get dinner for Ray and Mother.
All right. In the first place, you told us that you and your husband were happy. The neighbors tell us that you fought all the time. The bartender says you used to come in there and raise the roof with your husband. You claimed he was going out with other women. So the part about you and your husband being happy is a lie, isn't it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you said your husband didn't drink any milk for dinner the night he died. Your son says he did.
What's all this about milk, anyway? What's that got to do with it?
Well, according to what your son said, it looks like that's what your husband got the poison in, doesn't it?
Where would I get poison? I didn't buy any. I told you that. You searched the house and the garage. You didn't find any.
We've got the man who sold it to you, Mrs. Prater. He just gave a positive identification.
And Don Meyer, our handwriting man, checked the samples of your handwriting with a signature in the druggist's buy book. They're the same.
You might have wanted to collect on that insurance policy.
Any way you look at it, Miss Prater, the facts point out that you killed your husband.
No, why not admit it?
I didn't want to kill him. I only wanted to make him sick. Just sick, that's all. So I'd stop drinking, stay home a little bit. I didn't want to kill him. I didn't mean it. I didn't want the money. I just wanted him home with me.
That's enough. Frank, you want to call the stenographer?
Yeah, Joe.
You can understand it, can't you, Mr. Friday?
Ma'am?
You can understand it? I thought he was running around. I wanted him home with me and Ray and Mother. A nice little home for Ray. That's all I wanted. Is that wrong? Something nice for Ray. Is that wrong?
Well, I don't know.
What?
What's he got now?
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 13th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, you know best of anyone what you're looking for in a king-size cigarette. So here's all I ask you to do. Try Fatima's and then make up your own mind. If you're looking for an extra mild and soothing smoke and a really different flavor and aroma, then Fatima is the king-size cigarette for you. Ask for Fatima in the bright sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Ellen Adelaide Prater was tried and found guilty of murder in the first degree. She was sentenced to life imprisonment and is now serving her term in the state penitentiary for women. Further investigation proved that the mother-in-law, Mrs. Ruth Atkins, was unaware of the intention of her daughter to kill her husband. She was not connected in any way with the death of Alfred Prater. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, June Whitley, Sammy Ogg, Virginia Gregg. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.